Great. So, hi everyone. Welcome to the show. This is Hashed Outs with Cryptopolitan. We do a lot of like news usually. Curious if you guys can actually hear uh, the video. So I'm going to check that first.
Welcome to the fourth and final Republican presidential primary debate of the year, live from the University of Alabama.
Okay, you can. Perfect. All right. So this debate's probably going to be a little different from others. This is a new um, news network that's doing this debate. So I'm not sure what to expect. I haven't watched this beforehand. I've seen a lot of the comments. I feel like most of the comments are written by bots, but I could be wrong because I haven't seen it yet. So who knows? Let's check it out. Our goal today is to see what effects these have on economics and crypto specifically, and blockchain regulations. We'll see if they dive into those. Since I don't watch these beforehand, I can't know ahead if that's the case or not. Some of my reactions on other topics may be because I know some things some of the candidates don't, as I've been to some of the places that they will talk about for sure, and that they clearly know nothing about. So that's sometimes I'm just like, ah. But yeah. Other than that, I did study economics in high school and university. I'm not saying I'm more qualified than most to talk about it. I'm just saying I have some understanding of what it is, and I feel like some politicians do not. So that'll be interesting. So let's jump in. And by the way, you can comment live on this. Will be delayed by about 5 to 10 seconds. So please specify who you're talking about. If you're talking about a candidate or a host on the primary, so I know what you're saying. You could use like the first letter of their name, so like V for Vivek, N for Nikki Haley, and you get the idea. R for Ron. Like you could use the first letter because the amount of characters you can use is limited in the comments. So let's start with that. Also, this is the fourth debate where we've actually covered it here on the show. You can go back and watch the others if you want to, but there's not really much of a point since a lot of those candidates have dropped out. So that's one thing. Another thing is if you subscribe, you'll get notifications of when we go live with different things. This is a little bit different. And then I'll go through after this, I'll go through crypto news since Wednesday, since we haven't had a show since then. So nice to have you with us, Binance user D4D2C. Thanks for the yes. You can hear the show. That's awesome. The stream. And hi, Sun Crypto Hunter. Nice to have you with us as well. Let's get into this.
I'm Megyn Kelly, host of the Megyn Kelly Show podcast on SiriusXM.
I'm Eliana Johnson with the Washington Free Beacon.
And I'm Elizabeth Vargas with News Nation, and we are live on News Nation and the CW. It is make or break time for the candidates on this stage right now, with the primary starting just weeks away. And we have a lot to cover over the next 2 hours. So let's begin with tonight's rules. Candidates will have 90 seconds to answer questions, 60 seconds to give a rebuttal at the moderator's discretion. You will all see the timing lights that will indicate when time is up and it's time to stop talking.
And the time we have is critical over the next 2 hours, so we ask the audience to please keep your applause to a minimum.
Sorry.
All right, with that, let's get started. On stage tonight, 4 candidates, all vying to become their party's nominee. And given the state of affairs in our political system right now, one of you might very well do it. Even many Democrats now admit that President Biden is a weak candidate. Just as many Republicans acknowledge that former President Donald Trump's multiple legal troubles could imperil his quest for a second term, all of which means one of you could wind up the leader of the free world. Having said that, Mr. Trump is nearly 50 points ahead of all of you in the national polls, 29 points ahead in Iowa, where the GOP caucuses are less than 6 weeks away. And so, as Republicans get ready to vote on whether any of you might be preferable to Mr. Trump, we begin with the question of electability. Governor DeSantis, your campaign and its super PAC have spent the most money, had the most high net worth donors, and had a wave of momentum coming into this race after your big re-election win in Florida. You were seen by many as the candidate most likely to consolidate the non-Trump field. But here we are, a month out from the first real votes, and you haven't managed to do it. In fact, Nikki Haley is beating you in New Hampshire and South Carolina now, and closing in on you in Iowa, not to mention Trump, who is not only dominating in the early states, but is beating you in Florida by over 30 points. Is it fair to say, as Senator Tim Scott did when he dropped out, that voters are telling you not no, but not now?
So we have a great idea in America that the voters actually make these decisions, not pundits or pollsters. I'm sick of hearing about these polls because I remember those polls in November of 2022. They said there was going to be a big red wave. It was going to be monumental, and that crashed and burned. The one place it didn't crash and burn was in the state of Florida. They weren't predicting that I would win the way I did, and I won the greatest Republican victory in the history of the state of Florida. I'm looking forward to Iowa and New Hampshire. The voters are going to be able to speak, and we're going to earn this nomination. And here's what we need. I am sick of Republicans who are not willing to stand up and fight back against what the left is doing to this country. You've got to be willing to stand strong, and you've got to be willing to beat these people. I'm the only one running for president that has beaten these people on issue after issue. We beat the teachers' unions when we did school choice. We beat Fauci on COVID. We beat George Soros when we removed 2 of his radical district attorneys. We beat the Democrats on election integrity. I have delivered results. That's what we need for this country. And you have other candidates up here like Nikki Haley. She caves anytime the left comes after her, anytime the media comes after her. I did a bill in Florida to stop the gender mutilation of minors. It's child abuse and it's wrong. She opposes that bill. She thinks it's fine and the law shouldn't get involved with it. If you're not willing to stand up for the kids, if you're not willing to stand up and say that it is wrong to mutilate these kids, then you're not going to fight for the people back home. I will fight for you and I will win for you.
Ambassador Haley, you left government service in 2018 with just $100,000 in the bank. 5 years later, you're reportedly worth $8 million, thanks to lucrative corporate speeches and board memberships like you had with Boeing. Weeks ago, you met with Wall Street heavyweights, including leaders from JP Morgan, Goldman Sachs, and BlackRock. Several other billionaire investors are reportedly ready to endorse you, or recently have, all of which comes with expectations. Aren't you too tight with the banks and the billionaires to win over the GOP's working class base, which mostly wants to break the system, not elect someone beholden to it?
Well, thank you. It's great to be here. You know, first I'll tell you, just to respond to Ron, he continues to lie about my record. I actually said his Don't Say Gay bill didn't go far enough because it only talked about gender until the 3rd grade. And I said it shouldn't be done at all, that's for parents to talk about. It shouldn't be talked about with schools. In reference to donors coming on board, look, we will take support from anybody we can take support from. But I have been a conservative fighter all my life. I was a Tea Party candidate when I became governor. We opposed every single corporate bailout we possibly could. We passed tort reform. We passed one of the toughest illegal immigration laws in the country. We passed pro-life bills. We moved.
For those of you who aren't American, which I believe are the majority of you, the Tea Party is a movement that was trying to lower the American deficit. So like how much spending there was and how much debt the US government has. Try to lower that as much as possible. It's mostly a movement financed by the Koch brothers as well.
Moved in unemployment from 11% to 3%. We took on the unions and we took on Obama when it came to the unions, the Syrian refugees, and everything in between. And so I've had a fight. And so as much as Ron says that, that's not true. But when it comes to these corporate people that want to suddenly support us, we'll take it. But I don't ask them what their policies are. They ask me what my policies are. And I tell them what it is. Sometimes they agree with me, sometimes they don't. Some don't like how tough I am on China. Some don't like the fact that I've signed pro-life bills. Some don't like the fact that I may oppose corporate bailouts. That doesn't matter. That's who I am. And that's why the most conservative grassroots group in the country, Americans for Prosperity, endorsed me last week.
Well, because
It's actually a pretty good endorsement.
he didn't respond to the criticism. It wasn't about the Parents' Rights and Education Bill. It was about prohibiting sex change operations on minors. They do puberty blockers. These are irreversible. Talk to Chloe Cole. She went through this. Now she's an adult. She's warning against it. She may never be able to have kids again. That is what Nikki Haley opposed. She said the law shouldn't get involved in that. And I just ask you, if you're somebody that's going to be the president of the United States and you can't stand up against child abuse, how are you going to be able to stand up for anything? That is the truth. We have it on video.
I said that if you have to be 18 to get a tattoo, you should have to be 18 to have anything done to change your gender.
You said the law should stay out of it.
We're gonna get to this in more detail later. Let's finish with electability, but trust me, we're coming back to this issue. Mr. Ramaswamy, for months you campaigned as a unifier. Then you stood up at the first debate and attacked all of your competitors as bought and paid for. The second debate, you changed your tune, saying these are good people on this stage, admitting you can come across as a bit of a know-it-all and rejecting the practice of personal insults. By debate number 3, you called Nikki Haley corrupt, accused Ron DeSantis of wearing high heels, and told Ambassador Haley she should keep a closer eye on her daughter. Can you see how this has led some to conclude you are not, in fact, a unifier, and to question your authenticity?
Megyn, I think there's a time and place for everything. We need somebody in the White House who absolutely is going to be a fighter when it counts. And I did say that there were some good people on that stage in that third debate. Doug Burgum was on that stage at that time. And I'll say that jokingly. Ron DeSantis is a good person, too. I want to go back, though, to Nikki Haley's comment earlier that she is somehow not responding to the will of these donors. Nikki, you were bankrupt when you left the UN. After you left the UN, you became a military contractor. You actually started joining service on the board of Boeing, whose back you scratched for a very long time, and then gave foreign multinational speeches like Hillary Clinton is. And now you're a multimillionaire. That math does not add up. It adds up to the fact that you are corrupt. And when I said they were bought and paid for, I meant the Republican establishment, not the Democratic establishment. Now you have Reid Hoffman, the person who's effectively George Soros Jr., funding lawsuits across this country against Donald Trump to keep him off the ballot, funding left-wing causes. We discovered this week that he is one of Nikki Haley's largest supporters. Larry Fink, the king of the woke industrial complex, the ESG movement, the CEO of BlackRock, the most powerful company in the world, now supporting Nikki Haley. And to say that doesn't affect her is false, because it's after that meeting later that day that she says that every American needs to be doxxed by having their ID, their government-issued ID, tied to what they say on the internet. So I think that this is far more corrupt than I even imagined when I entered politics. But I will say this.
It's interesting.
It is going to take a leader from the outside with fresh legs from the next generation to unite this country. Not the broken politicians who are puppets of the puppet masters, but the actual people in this country. Thomas Jefferson was 33 when he wrote the Declaration of Independence. I think it's going to take somebody whose best days in life are still ahead to see a country whose best days are ahead of itself. And I think I can reach that next generation.
So he thinks based on his age, he's electable.
Thank you. Response.
I'm in his age group, but I wouldn't vote for him.
First of all, we weren't bankrupt when I left the UN. We're people of service. My husband is in the military, and I served our country as UN ambassador and governor. It may be bankrupt to him, but it certainly wasn't bankrupt to us. Secondly, I did serve on the board of Boeing. I did a lot of work with Boeing when I was governor. They were a great partner to me. I served for 10 months. And then when they decided after COVID that they wanted to go for a corporate bailout. I've never supported corporate bailout, so I respectfully stepped back and got off the board. I love Boeing. They build good commercial airplanes. They build airplanes for our Air Force. I am proud of them. They employ a lot of people in South Carolina, but that's why I left the Boeing board. There's nothing to what he's saying. And in terms of these donors that are supporting me, they're just jealous. They wish that they were supporting them, but I'm not going to sit there and deny.
Let me get the governor in, and then go
So,
to Governor
and
Sanders.
Vivek,
Are you
he
jealous?
wrote a book talking about ESG and these woke corporations and BlackRock. The idea that I want to do that in Florida, they were managing our pension, part of our pension. And then when they did the ESG, I took $2 billion away from BlackRock. We took action. This ESG, they call it environment, social governance. And again, Nikki is meeting with all these people.
What happened?
They want to use economic power to impose a left-wing agenda on this country. They want basically to change society without having to go through the constitutional process. We've kneecapped it in the state of Florida. The next president of the United States needs to be able to go to that office on day one and end ESG. And the fact of the matter is, we know from her history, Nikki will cave to those big donors when it counts. And that is not acceptable.
I did write that book, Ron, and the irony is Nikki Haley was heaping praise on me when I wrote that book, but now I worry. I was warning about the woke industrial complex in this country as a warning. Apparently, she read it as a how-to manual, just like she reads George Orwell's books as well. And so I think that that's actually far more dangerous than, this is really important for people to understand. We're marching towards fascism under Biden. Jack Smith has subpoenaed every last retweet that someone has issued from Donald Trump in the year 2020. The only person more fascist than the Biden regime now is Nikki Haley, who thinks the government should identify every one of those individuals with an ID. That is not freedom, that is fascism, and she should come nowhere near the levers of power, let alone the White House.
I've got to get to Governor Christie. I haven't forgotten about you,
No, but can I just say,
can you speak?
I really appreciate it.
How you doing, sir?
Good to see you.
Can you please speak
He
to
hasn't had a chance to say anything yet.
requirement that you said that every anonymous internet user needs to out themselves? They're both hitting you on it.
I would be happy to, and I love all the attention, fellas. Thank you for that.
Okay, answer the question.
I'll say this. What I said was that social media companies need to show us their algorithms. I also said there are millions of bots on social media right now. They're foreign, they're Chinese, they're Iranian. I will always fight for freedom of speech for Americans. We do not need freedom of speech for Russians and Iranians and Hamas. We need social media companies to go and fight back on all of these bots that are happening. That's what I said. As a mom, do I think that social media would be more civil if we went and had people's names next to that? Yes, I do think that, because I think we've got too much cyberbullying. I think we've got child pornography and all of those things. But having said that, I never said government should go and require anyone's name.
That's false.
She said, I want your name. She President of the United States, her first day in office, she said, one of the first things I'm going to do,
I said we were going to get the millions of bots.
She wants government ID to dox every American.
That's what she said. You can roll the tape. She said, I want your name. And that was going to be one of the first things she did in office. And then she got real serious blowback, and understandably so, because it'd be a massive expansion of government. We have anonymous speech. The Federalist Papers were written with anonymous writers. Jay, Madison, and Hamilton, they went under Publius. It's something that's important, and especially given how conservatives have been attacked and they've lost jobs and they've been canceled. You know the regime would use that to weaponize that against our own people. It was a bad idea, and she should own up to it.
Come on now, what are you doing here?
15 seconds, and then there is the governor, former governor of New Jersey.
This cracks me up because Ron is so hypocritical, because
Something going on that's important in chat. There's BRZ24 who's asking for help. He's saying he's in Palestine, no food, no water, no electricity. I know from contacts of mine on the ground that is the case as the war continues there, and they're stuck against the coast with water and food being blocked by the Hamas on the border. So, yeah, I understand your issue. The problem is food and water aren't getting through because of Hamas. So you're going to have to sit and wait until they get dealt with on the southern border of Gaza before you can actually get anything to where you are, sadly. Or the Israeli military is going to have to drive up and bring aid themselves, which could happen. But it's a longer drive and it's more dangerous for them to do it. But yeah, I know your situation well, and I'm extremely sorry for it. I don't see how donations will help. That's the issue I have right now with that. But thanks for jumping in and talking about it.
He actually went and tried to push a law that would stop anonymous people from talking to the press, and went so far to say bloggers should have to register with the state if they're going to write about elected officials. It was in the check your newspaper. It was absolutely there. I have never said government should
trample on your constitutional rights.
You can come back to it later.
This is more dangerous than the Democrats.
You're lying.
This section's over. Okay, Governor Christie.
Really?
Just that
I'm usually not somebody who gets missed, but okay, let's go.
What's happening? Okay, I got you. Listen, you endorsed Donald Trump in 2016 and 2020. You gave him an A for his first term. Since then, however, you've turned on him, calling him a liar, a loser, a con man, and someone who cannot win. You've even said that you got into this race just to stop President Trump. His approval rating with Republicans is currently at 81%. Yours is at 25. Your best state is New Hampshire, and even there, 2/3 of GOP voters say they would be angry and disappointed if you won. Respectfully, Governor, you have not stopped Mr. Trump, and voters may wonder how you could possibly become the nominee of a party that does not appear to like you very much.
Yeah. Well, look, Megan, it's often very difficult to be the only person on the stage who's telling the truth, and the only person who is taking on what needs to be taken on. I look at my watch now. We're 17 minutes into this debate, and except for your little speech in the beginning, we've had these three acting as if the race is between the four of us. The fifth guy, who doesn't have the guts to show up and stand here, he's the one who, as you just put it, is way ahead in the polls. And yet I've got these three guys who are all seemingly to compete with, Voldemort, he who shall not be named. They don't want to talk about it. The fact is that when you go and you say the truth about somebody who is a dictator, a bully, who has taken shots at everybody, whether they've given him great service or not over time, who dares to disagree with him, then I understand why these three are timid to say anything about it. Maybe it's because they have future aspirations. Maybe those future aspirations are now, or maybe they're 4 years from now. But the fact of the matter is the truth needs to be told. And for us to go 17 minutes without discussing the guy who has all those gaudy numbers you talked about is ridiculous. I'm in this race because the truth needs to be spoken. He is unfit. This is a guy who just said this past week that he wants to use the Department of Justice to go after his enemies when he gets in there. I mean, the fact of the matter is, he is unfit to be president, and there is no bigger issue in this race, Megan, than Donald Trump, and those numbers prove it.
Governor Christie, we will be addressing that issue of Donald Trump in just a moment, but I'd like to first get to some questions on Israel. Governor DeSantis, tonight as we speak, the war is back on in Gaza. Israeli tanks are on the move and have surrounded the home of the leader of Hamas. 8 Americans have been held hostage in the tunnels beneath Gaza for 60 days now. American troops and warships in the Middle East are under attack. How far would you go as president to secure the release of those 8 American hostages? And would it include sending American forces into combat?
We have to look out for our people. When there are hostages, Commander-in-Chief, you have to do whatever you can to get them done. But the overall issue with this is this administration is trying to hobble Israel from being able to defend itself. They have a right to eliminate Hamas and win a total and complete victory so that they never have to deal with this again. Hamas wants nothing less than a second Holocaust. They would wipe off every single Jew off the map. They would destroy the state of Israel if we could. Joe Biden will say they support Israel, and then they do nothing but try to kneecap them every step of the way. You should not try to direct their war effort. We should work together with them so that they can bring Hamas to heel. Look, I served in Iraq back in the day. I'm the only one running for president that served in the military. I understand that part of the world. It's not the best part of the world. We do have troops there that Biden is leaving basically as sitting ducks. and you have the Iranians that are attacking these troops, and he's responding with basically pinpricks. If you harm an American service member, you're going to have hell to pay when I'm president. We are not going to let our troops be sitting ducks. We also need to look at what's the underlying problem here. Iran. Biden is doing nothing to bring Iran to account. You got to turn the screws on them. Don't let them have any oil revenue. The money they get, they send to Hamas, they send to Hezbollah, and they foment jihad throughout the Middle East. So Biden has empowered Iran just like he's empowered other adversaries. We stand with Israel. They're our best ally in the Middle East. We have a unique relationship with them, and you will see a strong relationship when I'm the president of the United States.
But would you send American troops?
Elizabeth, look, this is the problem with the first three debates. Ron gets asked a question, and he doesn't answer it. Your question was very specific. You said, would you send American troops as commander-in-chief? And he went on to this minute and 30-second hosanna about his knowledge of the military and what we need to do, and didn't answer your question. Look, when you're president of the United States, you're not going to have a choice whether to answer that question or not. Your generals, your Secretary of Defense, your Secretary of State, your National Security Advisor are going to present plans to you. They're going to look at you and say, do we go or don't we, Mr. President? And you can't give a 90-second speech about your military service, as laudable as it is.
Would you send American troops in to rescue those hostages?
Absolutely. If they had a plan which showed me that we could get them out safely, you're damn right I'd send the American Army in there to get our people home and get them home now. And I'll answer that question directly.
Thank you, Governor Christie.
I feel like he's there as another moderator.
Mr. Ramaswamy, you have said it was irresponsible for Ambassador Haley to call Hamas's terrorist rampage an attack on America and for her to, quote, rabidly shout, finish them, end quote. The Hamas terror attack left dozens of Americans dead and was the deadliest attack on Jews since the Holocaust. Why wouldn't it be a good thing to finish Hamas?
Finish them was purposefully vague in a discussion that included Iran, which is what I objected to. And I think it's, as U.S. president, you have to be responsible. What happened to Israel was dead wrong. What Hamas did was medieval. It was subhuman. It was immoral.
And here's where he's going to go.
And we have to call that out for what it is on October 7th. But to say that that was an attack on America fails a basic test. I mean, Nick, if you can't tell the difference between where Israel is and the U.S. is on a map, I can have my 3-year-old son show you the difference. That is irresponsible because it has major consequences, because that doesn't leave room for what actually is an attack on America. So I believe I have the strongest pro-Israel position actually on the stage, even though it's a little bit different than the standard GOP talking points. And it is this.
People are literally laughing at him.
The founding vision of Israel, David Ben-Gurion, the George Washington figure of Israel, what did he believe? He believed that we don't want, as Israel, to depend on the fleeting sympathies of the West and have our hands tied. I think Israel has an absolute right to defend itself to the fullest, without the U.S., the UN, or the EU, or anybody else second-guessing their decisions, as the Biden administration, guess what, is now starting to do. I think that's a more deeply pro-Israel position than anybody else, and it keeps the actual lines of accountability clear because it is a pro-American position. And as leader of the United States of America, just as a father of 2 sons, my sole moral duty is to my family. As your next president, my sole moral duty is to you, the people of this country. That's how I'm going to lead. So I'll tell Bibi, you smoke the terrorists on your southern border, you go ahead and we're rooting for you. We're going to smoke the terrorists on our own southern border, and that's how I'm going to lead this country.
But Americans were killed in that attack. Americans were killed in that attack. And so if you looked at this terrorist attack and the number of Americans, this would be one of the top 10 terrorist attacks in American history. So our own people were killed in that attack. And I think it's absolutely appropriate to point that out and to say that we're in this together and we are going to work with Israel so that these people are brought to justice.
I agree with that.
Ambassador Haley, I'm coming to you. Iran is on the threshold of becoming a nuclear state. The Wall Street Journal reported that Iranian military leaders gave the green light for Hamas's attack on Israel. You said in last month's debate that, by contrast to the Biden administration's approach to Iran, you would, quote, punch them once and punch them hard. Were you saying that it's time to bomb Iran?
No, I was not saying it's time to bomb Iran, but I will tell you, I dealt with Iran every day when I was at the United Nations, and they only respond to strength. What they don't respond to is when you weaken the sanctions like they did on Iran, that allowed China to send them billions to fill their proxies. What they don't respond to is when you give $6 billion for 5 hostages, that only makes them want more hostages. What they don't respond to is when they do 140 strikes on our men and women in Syria and Iraq, and we do nothing but just some small shots back. You've got to punch them, you've got to punch them hard, and let them know that. That's the only way they're going to respond. So the way you do that is you go after their infrastructure in Syria and Iraq where they're hitting our soldiers. That's what you do, and then that's when they'll back off. The problem is you have to see that all of these are related. If you look at the fact Russia was losing that war with Ukraine. Putin had hit rock bottom. They had raised the draft age to 65. He was getting drones and missiles, drones from Iran, missiles from North Korea. And so what happened? When he hit rock bottom, all of a sudden, his other friend, Iran, Hamas goes and invades Israel and butchers those people on Putin's birthday. There is no one happier right now than Putin because all of the attention America had on Ukraine suddenly went to Israel. And that's what they were hoping is going to happen.
That's true, and it's all going to go to Venezuela soon
as
as Venezuela tries to annex 2/3 of Guyana.
There is a reason, again, that Taiwanese want to help Ukrainians because they know if Ukraine wins, China won't invade Taiwan. There's a reason the Ukrainians want to help Israelis because they know that if Iran wins, Russia wins. These are all connected. But what wins all of that is a strong America, not a weak America. And that's what Joe Biden's given us.
I want to say one thing about the tie to Ukraine, if I may. So foreign policy experience is not the same as foreign policy wisdom. I want everybody at home to note that I was the first person to say we need a reasonable peace deal in Ukraine. Now a lot of the neocons are quietly coming along to that position, with the exceptions of Nikki Haley and Joe Biden, who still support this, what I believe is pointless war in Ukraine. And I think those with foreign policy experience, one thing that Joe Biden and Nikki Haley have in common is that neither of them could even state for you 3 provinces in eastern Ukraine that they want to send our troops to actually fight for. Look at that. This is what I want people to understand. These people have, I mean, she has no idea what the hell the names of those provinces are, but she wants to send our sons and daughters and our troops and our military equipment to go fight it. So reject this myth that they've been selling you that somebody had a cup of coffee stint at the UN and then makes $8 million after.
He's literally lying. That's a really good argument.
It takes an outsider to see this through. Look at the blank
expression. He's good at debating, but he doesn't know what he's talking about.
She doesn't know the names of the provinces that she wants to actually fight for. And there's a puppet masters right there. The donors right there that are playing like the puppet masters.
Hold on.
Let me just say something here. You know, his reasonable peace deal in Ukraine, he made it clear. Give them all the land they've already stolen. Promise Putin you'll never put Ukraine in Russia, and then trust Putin not to have a relationship with China. Let me tell you something. That's no reasonable.
That's not my deal. That's not my deal.
Yes, it's exactly what you said. You do this at every debate.
I'll tell you exactly what it is.
Don't interrupt me. I didn't interrupt you. Okay? You say this. You do this. You do this at every debate. You go out on the stump and you say something. All of us see it on video. We confront you out on the debate stage. You say you didn't say it, and then you back away. And I want to say
exactly what I said, Chris.
I'm not done yet.
Well, this is
now look.
This is nonsense. This man is spewing. This man is spewing nonsense.
This man is spewing nonsense from the nonsense spewer himself.
You would be voted in the first 20 minutes as the most obnoxious blowhard in America. So shut up for a little while.
I'm going to respond.
I want to say
Your version of
We're
going to let you respond to that. We're going to let you respond to that. Let him finish.
He is the 4th moderator on the debate.
We're now 25 minutes into this debate, and he has insulted Nikki Haley's basic intelligence, not her positions, her basic intelligence. She doesn't know regions. She wouldn't be able to find something on a map that his 3-year-old could find. Look, if you want to disagree on issues, that's fine. And Nikki and I disagree on some issues. But I'll tell you this. I've known her for 12 years, which is longer than he's even started to vote in a Republican primary. And while we disagree about some issues and we disagree about who should be president of the United States, what we don't disagree on is this is a smart, accomplished woman, and you should stop insulting her.
So I'm going to take this. I'm going to take several times over. So first of all, I think we just learned something from Chris Christie. We learned 3 things. We learned 3 things right there. First of all, Chris Christie also doesn't know what provinces in eastern Ukraine he actually wants us to fight for. Chris, your version of foreign policy experience was closing a bridge from New Jersey to New York. Yeah. So do everybody a favor, just walk yourself off that stage, enjoy a nice meal, and get the hell out of this race. Let me tell you. When it comes to Nikki, I think if you're going to actually send your sons and daughters to go die in somebody else's war, you better, excuse me, Chris, I'm speaking, and I'm not done yet.
I haven't heard the time when you aren't
and we're going to be done. So listen up to this, is if these people want to send your sons and daughters to go die in Ukraine, they've been arguing for it for a year. $200 billion of our taxpayer money sent over.
That is literally
Neither of them could even name for you the provinces that they actually want to protect.
Sending money and sending people is not the same thing.
Foreign policy experience. It is intellectual fraud. These people are lying to you. The same people who told you about weapons and mass destruction in Iraq to justify that invasion didn't know the first thing about it, yet they sent thousands of our sons and daughters to go die. The same people who told you the same in Afghanistan, where the Taliban is still in charge 20 years later. $7 trillion of our national debt due to these.
He plays with words a lot.
You can put
to portray things in a way that aren't
true.
It
is still a fascist neocon.
Thank you, Mr.
See that today.
Thank you, Mr.
Dick Cheney all over again in this party.
Thank you, Mr.
And he's pulling
Ramaswamy.
leftist things and calling anybody that disagrees with him a fascist. Interesting.
Name the provinces. Neither of you could even name the first thing about Eastern Crimea.
I think we've had
Let me just.
It's actually Crimea is the wrong
All right,
answer.
the floor is Christie's.
All right. Let me just say this. You know,
Crimea is southern Ukraine. That's why he's saying it's the wrong
where
answer.
he talks about experience. You know, I was the U.S. attorney in New Jersey when the terrorist attacks were launched against the United States in 2001. I brought the first two cases in this country against terrorists who tried to attack us again. And I know about the threat of terrorism and bullying in this country and around the world. And at that time, he was learning about the provinces in Ukraine, sitting with his smart-ass mouth at Harvard. That's what was going on. And so the fact of the matter is, and back then he was a Democrat. So, you know, the fact is that all he knows how to do.
Well, you were busy hugging Barack Obama.
Thank you.
All he knows how to do is insult good people who have committed their lives to public service and not say anything that moves the ball down the field for the United States.
Welcome back to the Republican primary debate
live
on News Nation from
Nice.
Tuscaloosa, Alabama. We are now going to go to the crisis on the southern border. Polls show immigration and the crisis are among the most pressing issues for Republican voters right now. Both the issue of migrants crossing illegally into our country and the separate issue of fentanyl being smuggled in mostly through legal ports of entry. All year, News Nation has been at the border documenting the crisis. In 2023 alone, Border Patrol encountered a record 2.4 million migrants. All four of you have talked tough. The question now is how realistic
I like how we
is the
call them
talk?
migrants. They're
So,
illegal
Governor
aliens
DeSantis, I'd
by
like to start with
any
you.
illegal
You have
borders,
pledged to
basically
send the
crossing the
military
border
to the
without
southern
going through
border
a
on
port of
day
entry.
one of your administration with orders to shoot, quote, stone cold dead anyone illegally entering with a backpack that you believe contains fentanyl. Critics have called this a shoot first, ask questions later policy that would amount to extrajudicial killing. You are a former military lawyer. Why do you think this idea of yours would be legal?
The drug cartels are invading our country and they are killing our citizens by the tens of thousands every year. We had a situation in Florida. There was an 18-month-old baby that was crawling on the floor of an Airbnb rental. There was fentanyl residue on the carpet and the baby died. Is this acceptable in this country? I know the elites in DC, they don't care. They don't care that fentanyl's ravaging your community. They don't care that illegal aliens are ravaging our community and overwhelming our community. The commander-in-chief not only has a right, you have a responsibility to fight back against these people.
And does that mean shooting first?
It means you're gonna categorize them as foreign terrorist organizations, and we will identify just like we would anywhere. When I was in Iraq, the Al-Qaeda wasn't wearing a uniform. You'd see anyone walking down the street, they all had man dresses on. You didn't know if someone had a bomb, an IED attached or not. And so you had to make a judgment based on intelligence, based on positive identification. But we're going to be able to get the intelligence on these cartel people. And here's the thing. If we had a wall across the southern border, which I support, this would not have happened. We need to build a wall across the southern border. I'll get it done, and Mexico is supposed to pay for it. Remember, here's how you do that. I'm going to have fees on remittances from foreign workers when they send the money back. to foreign countries, we're going to tax it, and we're going to build a wall with that. So yes, you should have had that, but we don't have it. I'm going to build it, but we have to lean in on this problem. I am not going to sit there and allow mothers to lose more kids because of fentanyl overdose. I am not going to sit there and let sex trafficking go unabated or human trafficking go unabated. There's going to be a new sheriff in town, and these drug cartels better buckle up.
Thank you. Ambassador Haley, you have pledged to catch and deport all migrants who are here in this country illegally. But then you said in Londonderry, New Hampshire last month that you will not deport those who are working and paying taxes rather than feeding off the system. Which is it?
So first of all, what I said is all of the 7 or 8 million illegals that have come under Biden's watch absolutely have to go back. We have to stop the incentive of what's bringing them over here in the first place. Biden just gave temporary protective status to 500,000 Venezuelans. That's 500,000 Social Security cards. That's 500,000 driver's licenses. And I know from my time at the United Nations, the first thing they do is pick up the phone and said, we came over, come on over. And that's what sends more. You have to go and deport these people so they know it can't happen again. For those that have been here longer than that, we've got to start seeing who is it, how long have they been here, have they been vetted, have they paid taxes, have they been working, and figure out who else is out there. But what I know is my parents came here legally. They put in the time, they put in the price. They are offended by those that are coming illegally. We can't let them skip the line. But when you talk about fentanyl like you did before, let's look at something else. Yes, I think we should send special operations over and take out the cartels. I think we should do a remain in Mexico policy so they never step foot in U.S. soil in the first place. But look at where fentanyl came from. Let's go to the heart of the matter. It came from China. That's why we need to end all normal trade relations with China until they stop murdering Americans with fentanyl. I promise you, they need our economy. They will immediately stop that. But this is where Trump went wrong. Trump was good on trade, but that's all he was with China, because here he allowed fentanyl to continue to come over. He continued to allow them to he would give them technology that would build up their military and hurt us. He allowed the Chinese infiltration for them to buy up farmland, to put money in our universities, and to continue to do things that were harmful for America. We now have a spy base in Cuba and police stations, and Trump didn't do anything about it.
Thank you.
China, though. I mean, listen, this is rich, because when she was governor of South Carolina, she was the #1 ranked governor of bringing the CCP into her state. She wrote a love letter to the Chinese ambassador saying how great a friend China is. You can look at it. We put it on our website, rondesantis.com. There's also a video of her as governor standing in front of a Chinese flag with a Chinese business saying that she now works for them, talking about this Chinese company. So she's been very weak on China. Now, here's the problem. The rhetoric is different, but her donors, these Wall Street liberal donors, they make money in China. They are not going to let her be tough on China, and she will cave to the donors. She will not stand up for you.
15 seconds, Ambassador.
First of all, he's mad because those Wall Street donors used to support him, and now they support me. The second thing is he has a company, a Chinese company, UGAS, that he just did a rally there last year. They have given you $340,000 in campaign donations between them and their employees. They are tied to the Communist Chinese Party. Jinko Solar is another one. They went and expanded. You gave $2 million in subsidies.
I banned China from buying land in the state of Florida.
The Department of Homeland
ejected the Confucius Institute. Nikki Haley brought Confucius Institutes to the universities in South Carolina.
That is not true.
I ejected them. So I have a record of standing up and do what's right. And here's the thing.
You have a record of lying.
She's trying to say things like that. Even the liberal media groups that usually, if I say the sky is blue, they'll fact check me and say that's wrong. They looked at her charges. They said it was totally false, that they could not find one instance of me recruiting a Chinese business coming to Florida. You know why? Because we never recruited any Chinese businesses to the state of Florida.
Thank you. Thank you. Mr. Ramaswamy, over the past year, fentanyl has killed more than 75,000 Americans, 1,000 of them right here in Alabama. You have vowed to use the military to, quote, annihilate drug labs inside Mexico, something the president of Mexico said would be a hostile act. But fentanyl can easily be made anywhere, and labs that are shut down can easily and quickly be replaced. Are your tough enforcement policies offering false hope to a country racked by addiction?
To the contrary, I don't think it's going to have to come to that if we deal with the actual demand side problem that we also have in this country. I mean, the easy part is talking about how we're going to use our military to secure the border. I will, and I believe that everybody else wants to do the same thing. But the harder part is dealing with the crisis of purpose and meaning, the mental health epidemic raging across this country like wildfire. And there's a reason why after the opioid crisis, you see fentanyl. And even after we get fentanyl, and we are going to be sure to make sure we do it, this one is worse for many reasons. They're illegally lacing it into pharmaceuticals, so it's more dangerous. But we're deluding ourselves. The real false promise here is thinking that we're going to have dealt with that underlying mental health epidemic in this country by just dealing with the demand side of it. But I want to get back to this issue of the root cause, because a lot of these are coming from labs in Wuhan, China, of all places, drug materials that are going to the Mexican drug cartels that they're pumping across that southern border like a modern opium war. I think it is going to take a U.S. president that's going to have a very different conversation with Xi Jinping than what Joe Biden just had in California. I will tell Xi Jinping, you will not only not buy land in this country or donate to universities in this country, U.S. businesses won't expand into the Chinese market until they're playing by the same set of rules. And the same country that's putting fentanyl into illegal pharmaceuticals in Mexico, it's no coincidence, is the exact same country that also unleashed hell on the world with the COVID-19 pandemic. We also have to hold them accountable with every financial lever that we have available. That is what it actually means to stand with a spine. And you mark my words, if we're willing to stand with the spine, China will absolutely have to fold because they're in a tougher spot than we are. And then we're back to playing by the same set of rules.
Thank you, Mr.
That's the
Ramaswamy. Thank you. Let's talk about the economy. Ambassador Haley, homeownership has always been part of the American dream, but it's increasingly out of reach for younger Americans. This year, mortgage rates reached 30-year highs. Home prices have risen $190,000 over the past decade. Is this the free market at work? Or should the federal government do something to make homes more affordable?
Well, first of all, I mean, you're exactly right. My daughter just got married, and I saw how hard it was for her and her husband to buy a home. Right now, the average homeowner in America is 49 years old. You've got young people everywhere. That used to be the American dream, and now it's out of reach. But you look at what happened. You first of all look at what the Fed did. The Fed did a terrible job when they allowed all of that money to go through. You saw the Treasury bond rates go up. That affected mortgage rates, that affected automobile rates, that affected insurance rates. And so now we have a high interest rate. You've got a supply issue. Ask any builder. The supply issues have continued to be there. That's caused the rate to go up. And then you've got insurances that have gone up. And so what you have is a lot of younger people who, one, can't afford a home, but two, the banks aren't lending them any money. They've made the regulations so hard that they don't want to give loans on mortgages anymore. So what we have to do is we have to open it up. We have to, one, grow our economy so that people have more money in their pockets. We've got to look at the supply chain and make sure that we are funneling that so that builders don't have to sit there and go overseas to find things. And then we need to make sure that we really stop paying down this debt, make sure that we stop the borrowing, stop the spending. I'll veto any spending bill that doesn't take us back to pre-COVID levels, because our kids are not going to forgive us for all the spending that happened. And as much as everybody wants to talk about how Donald Trump had a good economy, $9 trillion in debt he did just in 4 years. And we're all paying the price of that, including those mortgage prices.
We're going to come back to President Trump, I promise. Governor DeSantis, the latest News Nation Decision Desk poll found that inflation tops the worries of American voters. 61% say they're very concerned, and the working class is hardest hit. Economists say this was fueled by a glut of federal spending. The Biden administration has added $6 trillion to the national debt so far, but President Trump wasn't exactly a penny pincher. His administration added $7.8 trillion. Do Republicans, including President Trump, share the blame for inflation? And what concrete steps would President DeSantis take to help Americans make ends meet?
The borrowing, printing, and spending of money was both parties in Washington, D.C. That's just a fact. These Republicans in Washington have spent. It's driven your prices higher, and it's driven your interest rates to the point where you can't afford. I met a young fella in Iowa. He had graduated college a couple years ago, and he's like, Governor, I don't have a chance. I'm gainfully employed. He's like, I have no chance to afford a home and start a family. That is taking the American dream away from people. So we're going to get the inflation down. We're going to get the interest rates down. We are going to reduce spending, and I will be willing to veto, and I vetoed a lot as governor of Florida, and we'll do that. We're also going to open up all of our domestic energy for production, lower your gas prices, lower the price of fuel. That's going to help the economy. It also help jobs, and we'll do it. But, you know, another thing that's burdening young people are these student loans. Now, I don't support having a truck driver having to pay a student loan for someone that got a degree in gender studies. That is wrong. We should not have taxpayers do that. What I'm going to do, though, is I'm going to get to the root cause of the problem. These student loans are going to be backed by the universities because they need to have an incentive to produce gainful employment for people. They should not be indulging in ideological studies. They should be focusing on things that work. And we're going to take some of this money and we're going to move it to actual vocational training. In Florida, we doubled apprenticeships. We have more truck drivers. These are in-demand skills. Don't let anybody tell you that the only way you can be successful is through a 4-year brick and ivy degree. That's one way you can be. It's not the only way. And we're going to fix that problem in the United States of America.
Mr. Ramaswamy, you praised cryptocurrency like Bitcoin as an opt-out from our, quote, broken financial architecture, and you oppose efforts to regulate it. The head of the largest international crypto exchange just pleaded guilty to allowing his platform to launder money for terrorists, including Hamas. You say your cryptocurrency plan will, quote, ensure economic freedom for Americans, end quote. Won't it also ensure economic freedom for fraudsters, criminals, and terrorists?
Look, fraudsters, criminals, and terrorists have been defrauding people for a long time. Our regulations need to catch up with the current moment. The fact that SBF was able to do what he did at FTX shows that whatever they have as the current framework isn't working. And I think it is nothing short of embarrassing that Gary Gensler, the current leader of the SEC, in front of Congress, could not even say whether Ethereum counted as a regulated security or not. And so I think that this is just another example of the administrative state gone too far. Here's the dirty little secret in American politics today. The people who we elect to run the government are not the ones who are even actually running the government. It is the bureaucrats in those 3-letter agencies that are writing regulations that Congress never gave them the authority to write. And the good news is a U.S. president can absolutely fix that. That takes a U.S. president with a spine. So what I've said is in my administration, by the end of year 1, we will have a 75% reduction in the number of federal bureaucrats. We will shut down government agencies that should not exist. We will rescind any regulation that fails the test of West Virginia versus EPA, which is the most important Supreme Court case of our lifetime, that said if Congress didn't delegate that to an administrative agency, then it's unconstitutional. These are seismic changes. These are big changes that the next president can deliver without asking Congress for permission or for forgiveness. And I want people to understand that distinction, because people have been sold myths by politicians for a long time saying, I'm going to work with Congress to do this or that. Much of what you've heard on the stage from the other politicians fit that description. They need Congress. The things that I'm promising you, this is what the leader of the executive branch gets to do under Article 2 of the Constitution.
Thank you, sir.
Cut down the bureaucracy.
Well,
that's how we
thank you,
grow our
sir.
economy and put the Federal Reserve in its place. This is part of the crypto discussion.
No.
90%
Mr.
headcount
Ramaswamy,
reduction at the Fed.
you're out of time. 15 seconds, Governor DeSantis.
So one of the dangers that we're going to face, Biden wants, is a central bank digital currency. They want to get rid of cash, crypto. They want to force you to do that. They'll take away your privacy. They will absolutely regulate your purchases. On day 1 as president, we take the idea of central bank digital currency and we throw it in the trash can. It'll be dead on arrival.
I agree with that.
Gotta get a break. I have a whole second hour to get to. It's exciting. And when we come back, we got a big subject. Huge, you might even say. Donald Trump. Stay tuned.
They cut off the crypto debate. Come on. So it's interesting. Ron DeSantis is against the CBDC, so is Vivek Ramaswamy. But we didn't get to hear Nikki Haley or Chris Christie on that.
Welcome back, everyone. So you've all spent a lot of time criticizing each other on this stage, as Governor Christie pointed out, and less so for most of you on the front runner in this race, Donald Trump. We invited him to come tonight, as you know, but he declined to come. But we'd like to ask you a couple questions about him now. Ambassador Haley, Former President Trump recently promised, if he's reelected, to bring back and expand his program restricting immigration from Muslim countries. Here he is in Iowa on October 16th.
No longer will we allow dangerous lunatics, haters, bigots, and maniacs to get residency in our country. We're not going to let them stay here. If you empathize with radical Islamic terrorists and extremists, you're disqualified. You're just disqualified.
Ambassador Haley, do you support President Trump's plan for ideological screening?
Well, I don't think that you have a straight up Muslim ban as much as you look at the countries that have terrorist activity that want to hurt Americans. You can ban those people from those countries. That's the way we should look at it, is which countries are a threat to us. You look at what came across the southern border. What worries me the most are those that came from Iran, from Yemen,
Is this a higher percentage of Muslims in France that are
areas where they say death to
extremists
America.
than there are
That's
in
where you
countries
want to be
like
careful. It's not about a
Syria
religion.
or
It's
Iraq?
about a fact that certain countries are dangerous and are threats to us. A president has one job, and that's to keep Americans safe. And that's what we've got to do, is make sure that we have good national security in that process. And that's the way you should look at it, is where the terrorist threats are, how we're going to deal with it, and what we're doing about it. And the biggest threat we have right now is communist China. But you have to also look at what Iran and Russia are doing as well. And we need to be paying attention to that. That's why we have to focus on things like cyber, on space, on artificial intelligence, and not just the regular things that we've always focused on.
It's not just terrorism, though. That's important. But look what's happened in Europe. You have more anti-Semitism in Germany than at any time since Adolf Hitler. Why? Because they imported mass numbers of people who reject their culture. Europe is committing suicide with the mass migration, and it's illegal and legal. Nikki Haley said the other day there should be no limits on legal immigration, and that corporate CEOs should set the policy on that. There needs to be limits on immigration, and we should not be importing people from cultures that are hostile. So, for example, I said with the Gaza, you had some of the squad wanted to import 300,000 people from the Gaza Strip. I said, no, we're not taking anyone from Gaza because of the anti-Semitism and because they reject American culture. So we've got to get smart about this. We cannot let the United States be like Europe.
So there's a lower-hanging fruit here, if I may just hit this point, because it relates to what they just said. There are things that the government can do right now that nobody's talking about amongst the professional politicians in this race. What about all of the illegals who are already here? Here's the answer. There's 287G in the law. That is a provision that already allows ICE agents to deputize or allow local law enforcement to enforce those ICE warrants. And it shocks me that nobody in the Republican Party is talking about it, because there are 1 million then officials, law enforcement officials in this country. And against that backdrop, we absolutely have the ability to deport anybody who's in this country illegally.
Thank you,
we
Mr.
need to be talking about
Ramaswamy.
more in this country.
Thank you. Governor Christie.
That's interesting.
I actually did that as governor of South Carolina.
Governor Christie asked last night in Iowa whether he would be a dictator if he wins a second term in office. Donald Trump quipped, no, quote, except for day one, promising to seal the southern border. He has also pledged to begin the largest deportation operation in American history, saying that migrants are, quote, poisoning the blood of our country. He has pledged to round up and expel an estimated 11 million undocumented immigrants in the United States. What do you make of that plan?
I think it's completely predictable. I mean, look, he's made it very clear. There's no mystery to what he wants to do. He started off his campaign by saying, I am your retribution. 8 years ago, he said, I am your voice. This is an angry, bitter man who now wants to be back as president because he wants to exact retribution on anyone who has disagreed with him, anyone who has tried to hold him to account for his own conduct. And every one of these policies that he's talking about are about pursuing a plan of retribution. And yet, at the first debate, my three colleagues on this stage, when asked if he would be convicted of federal felonies, would they still support him, raise their hand, looked into the camera, and let everybody know that they would still support him, even if convicted of federal felonies. Federal felonies, by the way. Federal felonies which involve our election process, federal felonies which involve the most sensitive of our governmental secrets, federal felonies where he instructed others to commit crimes, folks who are now agreeing to go to jail because of what they did in his name. So do I think he was kidding when he said he was a dictator? All you have to do is look at the history. And that's why failing to speak out against him, making excuses for him, pretending that somehow he's a victim, empowers him. You want to know why those poll numbers are where they are? Because folks like these three guys on the stage make it seem like his conduct is acceptable. Let me make it clear. His conduct is unacceptable. He's unfit, and be careful of what you're going to get. If you ever got another Donald Trump term, he's letting you know, I am your retribution. He will only be, Elizabeth, he will only be his own retribution. He doesn't care for the American people. It's Donald Trump first.
Thank you, Governor Christie. Governor DeSantis. Governor DeSantis. Thank you. Thank you. Governor DeSantis.
That's a mixed reaction
Donald
in the
Trump
crowd.
would be older on day one of his second presidency than Joe Biden was on day one of his first. You have said Trump is not the same man he was when he ran in 2016. Your campaign is running ads showing Trump confused. And you have said he has, quote, lost the zip on his fastball. You seem to be saying Donald Trump is no longer mentally fit to be president. Is that what you think?
Look, he is showing father time is undefeated. The idea that we're going to put someone up there that's almost 80 and there's going to be no effects from that, we all know that that's not true. And so we have an opportunity to do a next generation of leaders and really be able to move this country forward. We also need a president that can serve 2 terms. I don't think Donald Trump, I think he's going to have, I don't think he'd be able to get elected. The Democrats want him to be the nominee. We see that. They are going to turn the screws the minute, if he got the nomination,
but do you think he's mentally fit to be president?
I think we need to have somebody younger. I think when you get up to 80, I don't think it's a job for that. But let me just respond to some of the things there. Look, the media is making a big deal about what he said about some of these comments. I would just remind people that is not how he governed. He didn't even fire Dr. Fauci. He didn't fire Christopher Wray. He didn't clean up the swamp. He said he was going to drain it. He did not drain it. He said he was going to build the wall and have Mexico pay for it. We don't have the wall. He did say in 2016 he'd have the largest deportation program in history. He deported less than Barack Obama did when Barack Obama was president. So some of these policies he ran on in 16, I was cheering him on then, but he didn't deliver it. Here's what I can promise people. 100% of the things I promised as governor, I delivered on those promises. I beat the left time and time again, and that's what I'll do for you as president. We got to start winning again as a party. Yes, win the election, but we've got to start getting these issues. I will go in and wreak havoc on this bureaucracy. You will see people fired, and we are going to bring a reckoning for how this government handled COVID-19.
Here's what now, Chris, you had your chance to wax eloquent on Donald Trump. You've been doing it all this whole race.
Why doesn't he just answer the question? The question was very direct. Is he fit to be president or isn't he? The rest of the speech is interesting, but completely non-responsive. And if we were in a courtroom, they'd strike the answer and say, Governor DeSantis.
No, they wouldn't. They would say that
you're a smart man. No, they would.
No, they wouldn't.
They would
Chris.
strike the answer
No, they wouldn't.
because you're not answering.
You just don't like. You have your.
It's like a lawyer discussion.
No, I don't have my thing.
We don't.
He's the thing. Is
we
he
do
fit
not
or
want
isn't
to
he?
do
You're talking about him being 80 years old.
It doesn't mean that somebody couldn't get elected. That's up to the people that
Governor
decide.
DeSantis, let him
is he
finish.
fit or isn't he?
Governor DeSantis, let him finish.
Ron, is he
I think we have an opportunity to do somebody who is in the prime of their life.
Yes.
We don't have to worry about all this stuff with confidence. We can get it done, and we'll do it.
I'm going to come to you. Finish.
Look, father time is undefeated. I don't know how he would score on a test, but I know this. We have an opportunity to nominate someone and elect someone for 2 terms who's going to be spitting nails on day one and for 8 years
So
deliver
you think he's
big
fit?
results. We should not nominate somebody
He won't answer.
who's almost 80 years old.
Okay. He's afraid to answer.
No, I'm not.
You have to either you're afraid or you're not listening.
No, it's not.
There's a simple question.
Is he fit? Nobody can hear this. No one can hear you. They can't hear you. You finish, and then you get it back.
All right.
Look, I'm a simple guy. Okay, I hear the question and I answer it. Is he fit or isn't he? I'll concede you're fit, Ron. You're a new generation. You're 44 years old. I wish I was still 44 years old. Okay?
45.
So, well, congratulations. I'd still take 45. Is he fit or isn't he? And this is the problem with my 3 colleagues. They're afraid to offend. And let me tell you something. If you're afraid to offend Donald Trump, then what are you going to do when you sit across from President Xi, you sit across from the Ayatollah, you sit across from Putin? You have to be willing to offend with the truth and answer the question. Fit or unfit?
Okay, listen.
Fit or
I
unfit?
promised Ron DeSantis a minute and not a full minute.
I've got
a
It
second.
is not about
You can weigh in
offending.
and then we're moving
It's
on.
about pointing out, do you want to elect somebody who will be older than Biden was when he went in 2021? I don't think he's as bad as Biden was at all, but I do think that over a 4-year period, it is not a job for somebody that's pushing 80. We need somebody that's younger. We need somebody that's going to be able to go in there and clean house on day one and do it for 2 terms. And I'll be able to
Here's
do
my
that.
issue with all 3 of my other colleagues on this debate stage, is all 3 of them have been licking Donald Trump's boots for years for money and endorsements. Ron DeSantis, you've been a great governor, but you would have never been one without actually begging Donald Trump for that endorsement.
And you
That's what
attacked him
Trump says.
a year ago.
Same thing with Chris Christie as a lobbyist, begging them for COVID money for his special interests in New Jersey, prepping him for the debates last time around. These people are now Monday morning quarterbacking some decision he made. I think the real enemy is not Donald Trump. It's not even Joe Biden. It is the deep state that at least Donald Trump attempted to take on. And if you want somebody who's going to speak truth to power, then vote for somebody who's going to speak the truth to you. Why am I the only person on the stage, at least, who can say that January 6th now does look like it was an inside job, that the government lied to us for 20 years about Saudi Arabia's involvement in 9/11, that the Great Replacement theory is not some grand right-wing conspiracy theory, but a basic statement of the Democratic Party's platform, that the 2020 election was indeed stolen by big tech, that the 2016 election, the one that Trump won for sure, was also one that was stolen from him by the national security establishment that actually put up the Trump-Russia collusion hoax that they knew was false. There's a reason why I'm the only person on the stage who can say these things. That's what it's going to take, not people who are licking his boots one time and now Monday morning quarterbacking and criticizing him when it's convenient.
Governor Christie.
I feel like Ramaswamy represents somebody that's trying to get things
You do not favor a ban
across.
on trans medical treatments for minors, saying it's a parental rights issue. The surgeries done on minors involve cutting off body parts at a time when these kids cannot even legally smoke a cigarette. Kids who go from puberty blockers to cross-sex hormones are at a much greater likelihood of winding up sterile. How is it that you think a parent should be able to
Chris
okay
Christie's
these
from New Jersey, where
surgeries,
they're a lot
never
more
mind the sterilization
liberal,
of a child,
even in the Republican
and aren't
Party,
you
than elsewhere?
way too out of step on this issue to be the Republican nominee?
No, I'm not. Because Republicans believe in less government, not more, in less involvement with government, not more in government involvement in people's lives. And you know what, Megan? I trust parents. And we're out there saying that we should empower parents in education. We should empower parents to make more decisions about where their kids go to school. I agree. We should empower parents to be teaching the values that they believe in their homes without the government telling them what those values should be.
Is a parent allowed to cut
And
their
yet,
kid's arm
we
off,
want to take
though?
other parental rights away.
That's
sorry.
not a parental right.
As a father of 4, I believe there is no one who loves my children more than me. There's no one who loves my children more than my wife.
People out there.
There's no one who cares more about their success and health in life than we do. Not some government bureaucrat, not some. You look at these jokers down in Congress. It takes them 3 weeks to pick a speaker. And up until 2 days ago, they couldn't promote somebody in the military in the United States Senate who earned their new rank. And we're going to put my children's health and my decisions in their hands for them to make those decisions, for Joe Biden to make those decisions, for me and for my wife. Let me just say this. This is not something I favor. I think it's a very, very dangerous thing to do. But that's my opinion.
It's a very
as
libertarian
parent, Megan.
stance.
And I get to make the decisions about my children, not anybody else. And every parent out there who's watching tonight, you start to turn over just a little bit of this authority, the authority they're going to take from you next, you're not going to like. I'll stand up for parents each and every time.
So there are
Excuse me,
laws banning smoking or drinking by a certain age.
Let me tell you
Yep.
something. I have a follow-up question for him, and you guys are going to get to weigh in, okay? Here's my follow-up question. You talk about parental rights. Let's talk about them. When you were governor in 2017, you signed a law that required new guidelines for schools dealing with transgender students. Those guidelines required schools to accept a child's preferred gender identity, even if the minor's parents objected.
Not true.
And it said that there is no duty for schools to notify parents if their son or daughter changes their gender identity, allowing this serious issue to remain a secret between the school and a child. How is any of that pro-parental rights?
By the way, that's simply not true.
You're doing what you accuse me of, Chris. It is absolutely true.
That's simply not true. That's simply not true. That law was put into effect in 2018 and regulated in 2018 after I was out of office, Megan. No, we did not, Megan. We did not issue those guidelines, and you're wrong about that. Simply wrong. I have stood up each and every time.
So I think if this is one issue that's disqualifying, it's this one.
I stood up every single time for parents to be able to make the decisions for their minor children.
But parents,
every single time, parents should make those decisions. And by the way, you know what? Every once in a while, parents are going to make decisions that we disagree with. But the minute you start to take those rights away from parents, you don't know that slippery slope, what rights are going to be taken away next, and what's going to be focused on.
As a parent, you do not have the right to abuse your kids. This is cutting off their genitals. This is mutilating these minors. These are irreversible procedures. And this is something that other countries in Europe, like Sweden, once they started doing it, they saw it did incalculable damage. They've shut it down. I signed legislation in Florida banning the mutilation of minors because it is wrong. We cannot allow this to happen in this country. And I know Chris disagrees with me, and I think he has an honest position. Nikki disagrees with me. She opposes the bill that we did to ban that. She said law shouldn't get involved with it. You said the law shouldn't get involved with it. She also, though, I think, and this flows from what she did as governor of South Carolina, they had a bill to try to say that men shouldn't go into girls' bathrooms. And she killed that bill, and she bragged that she killed that bill. Even to this day, she bragged that. I don't think men should be going into little girls' bathrooms. I think it's wrong, and I think we have every right to protect them from that.
I am going to come to you. I promise in a second. So quickly.
I think the North Star here is transgenderism is a mental health disorder. We don't let you smoke a cigarette by the age of 18. We don't let you have an addictive drink of alcohol by the age of 21. And I just challenge Ron DeSantis to go one step further and support what I think is clearly within the authority to do using federal funds, just like Reagan did in '84 for the Highway Act that said the minimum drinking age needs to be 21. We can do the same thing when it comes to banning genital mutilation or chemical castration. I know Ron's been unclear about that on the federal level. I'm crystal clear. That's where I stand.
Got it.
That's a mental health disorder. That's where we need to be at.
Go ahead.
So first of all, Ron has continued to lie because he's losing.
No, it's not a lie.
You are lying.
You said it on tape.
So first of all, I will say that when I was governor 10 years ago, when the bathroom situation came up, we had maybe a handful of kids that were dealing with an issue. And I said, we don't need to bring government into this, but boys go into boys' bathrooms, girls go into girls' bathrooms. And if anyone else has an issue, they use a private bathroom. Now, 10 years later, we see that this issue has exploded. And this shows how hypocritical Ron continues to be. When he was running for governor and they asked him about that, he said he didn't think bathroom bills were a good use of his time. You can go look that up.
I signed a bathroom bill in Florida, so that's obviously not true.
That was a kind of funny comeback.
The idea that you would say that I was against
that. You didn't. You killed it. I signed it. I stood up for little girls. You didn't do it. And there was this going on. I was actually just in South Carolina. Some of the legislators told me at the time there were boys going into the girls. That's the whole reason why they did it.
No.
And so they say when she does that
I wish they
explanation,
didn't get back to crypto, to be honest.
This is the upstate of South Carolina.
Ron,
I signed the bill. I protected the girls.
Do you know South Carolinians?
She did not do it.
Do you know
I know
South Carolinians? Because South Carolinians, no. You are not going to talk about my state like that, because I will tell you for a fact, South Carolinians never allowed that to happen, and we did not have that issue at the time. What I have always said is boys go into a boys' bathroom, girls go into a girls' bathroom. But hold on one second. I also say that biological boys shouldn't be playing in girls' sports, and I will do everything I can to stop that, because it's the women's issue of our time.
I signed legislation to protect women's sports. I actually get this stuff done.
You got it. Thank you, guys. We're going to move on. Mr. Ramaswamy, when discussing your Hindu faith in September, you seemed to take a shot at Ambassador Haley, who is also Indian American and who converted to Christianity as an adult. You said, an easy thing for me to do, being a politician, is to shorten my name, profess to be a Christian, and then run. Make Vivek Vicky or whatever, end quote. Are you questioning Nikki Haley's Christian convictions? And why has your campaign made a point of referring to Ambassador Haley by her given first name, Nimarata, even though she has gone by Nikki for her whole life?
Well, my whole deal is if Nikki Haley, of all people, should know how to pronounce my name correctly, the rest of the news media can learn it. My deal is I'll call her Nikki when she can say my own name right. That's our little fun side bet there. Here's what I will say is deeper. I don't question her faith, but I question her authenticity. And I think that's deeper here. We were just talking about the trans issue. This is a symptom of a deeper cancer in American life, identity politics. This new religion that says your race, your gender, and your sexuality are your identity. It is anti-American. It is meritocratic. It's anti-meritocratic, and it is dividing this country to a breaking point. And I've spoken about this to the left. My books are all about this. I've preached this to the left, but it's even worse when Republicans try to play the same game. We're talking about that trans issue. And Nikki Haley's campaign launch video sounded like a woke Dylan Mulvaney Bud Light ad talking about how she would kick in heels. At the first debate, she said that only a woman can get this job done. That's what she said. After the third debate, when I criticized Ronna McDaniel after 5 failed years of leadership of this party and criticized Nikki for her corrupt foreign dealings as a military contractor, she said that I have a woman problem. Nikki, I don't have a woman problem. You have a corruption problem. And I think that that's what people need to know. Nikki is corrupt. This is a woman who will send your kids to die so she can buy a bigger house. This is the problem, using identity politics more effectively than Kamala Harris.
I feel like he works for somebody else to discredit other people on stage.
Wielding their puppet right up here tonight. This is how this game is played. The puppet masters put up their puppet, and I reject the use of identity politics in this party. It has been a cancer coming from the left, and I'm sick and tired of the double standards the people of this country are too, having two
So he's saying her religion is identity
Thank you,
politics.
Thank you. Governor Haley, would you like
That's
to
a
respond?
weird answer to that question.
No, it's not worth my time to respond to him.
You have been using identity politics at every step. She knows it's true, and that's why she's actually fighting for it.
Sir, we're not going to give you a response to the question that was to you.
Okay, we got to move on to this. Now, by arrangement with the Republican National Committee, we've got 2 questions for you about the Justice Department and our election system. Here's Tom Fitton with Judicial Watch. Governor Christie, this one's for you.
President Trump and many of his supporters claim federal law enforcement agencies have abused his civil rights for the last 8 years by, among other things, spying on him and now prosecuting him while having treated Hillary Clinton and Joe Biden with kid gloves. A recent Gallup poll shows that Americans think more highly of the U.S. Postal Service than they do the FBI or Justice Department. What would you do as president to restore the faith of the American people in these agencies?
Well, first off, I'm the only person on this stage who's actually done a job in the Department of Justice. I was the U.S. Attorney in New Jersey in the 5th largest office in this country, appointed by President Bush on September 10th, 2001. And it was an extraordinary time in this country to be on the front lines of fighting the greatest attack against our country since Pearl Harbor. And I'm proud of the 7 years I spent in the Justice Department. And one of the reasons I am is because I had an attorney general when I came in named John Ashcroft. And John Ashcroft stood up and told each and every one of us our job was to do one thing, to make sure justice was done every day, regardless of partisanship, regardless of gender or race or any other consideration. And that's what we did for 7 years. And at a time when our country was at its greatest moment of danger in the last 40 years, we did exactly that. And there was not another domestic terrorist attack on this soil. So what I would do as president, having had that experience, and the only one who's had that experience, is to pick an attorney general who will absolutely do the same thing that John Ashcroft did, to pick U.S. attorneys who will only care about making sure that justice is done without regard to any other consideration but the facts that are presented and whether someone is guilty beyond a reasonable doubt and the government can prove it. We have had attorneys general like Eric Holder and Loretta Lynch and Jeff Sessions, and now our current attorney general, who have not met that standard.
Yep.
And the only way you restore people's faith in the
You'll
justice
get off
system
easier
is
for
to put
crime
someone like that
based
in
on your
charge
skin
of the Justice
color or
Department,
your gender
and then as president to
or
get the
sexuality.
hell out of the way on anything that involves criminal investigations. If a president's involved in trying to do something and put their thumb on the scale, as Donald Trump says he will do, that makes people much less likely to believe our justice system can be fair.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Governor DeSantis, this next one's for you. Back to Tom Fitton.
Many Republicans are concerned about the legitimacy of elections. A federal judge just ruled that Pennsylvania must count undated mail-in ballots, and unlike Alabama, many states still don't require any identification to vote. What should states do now to increase election integrity and voter confidence for the 2024 election?
Yeah, this is
Well,
important.
Tom, thanks for the question. Thanks for what you guys do at Judicial Watch. It's really, really important. There's a lot of corruption in this government. You guys are doing a great job. What you should do for election integrity is do what we did in Florida. 20 years ago, Florida and elections was a joke. Everybody would laugh at it.
That's true.
I came in, I removed a couple supervisors from South Florida. We require voter.
Florida actually caused issues during the elections between Al Gore and George Bush, and almost every election until they fixed their election system. And just to put it super bluntly, most smaller countries than these states have better election systems. So a lot of states need to amp up their game and fix their electoral systems. I know I've run for office in France and I've helped count ballots in France. I know the election system is almost impossible to cheat in there. You would need all the political parties to get together and agree on cheating for it to work in France. And in the US, there are things that happened in the last presidential election that were through not even things that you would see in some third world countries, and it's an absolute sad state of affairs.
ID universal, no Zuckerbucks, no mass mail balloting, and no ballot harvesting. We even have an agency that prosecutes people for violating election laws. The result of that in both 2020 and 2022, we counted millions and millions of votes on election night, produced the results, it was transparent, and everybody was happy. That is not happening throughout this country. But let me tell you this as the nominee. I think it's important. Not every state where we need it to be. There is ballot harvesting in places like Nevada, all these places. I am not going to fight with one hand tied behind my back. I'm going to have organizations in all the swing states. If they're harvesting, we're harvesting. If they're Zuckerbucks, we're Zuckerbucks. We are going to exploit whatever the rules are. I favor changing the rules to be like Florida and some of the other states that have
That's
done a
what the
good job.
Republican Party needs to do if they want to be competitive.
On the Justice Department and FBI. I mean, I remember being, in Iraq, working with FBI on the ground, and being, and then I was a special assistant. I used to have such a high.
Anybody wondering, on the political spectrum test, I land directly on the middle cross section. I am a centrist of centrists on my political views, which is interesting. Another thing to point out, if you like kind of the content we do, definitely subscribe so you get notifications for other things that we do as well.
Guard for these agencies.
And
What
we'll
they
be doing some
did
crypto
to
news after
Donald
this.
Trump with the Russia collusion was one of the biggest abuses of power in the history of our country. These agencies need to be cleaned out. With me, you'll have a new FBI director on day one. We're going to clear out the DOJ, the IRS, all these places. Buckle your seatbelts. There's going to be a new sheriff in town.
Thank you. All right, we got to do a quick break. We're going to come back in 1 minute. China up next.
Welcome back to the final GOP presidential primary debate of 2023. We're going to talk about our college campuses, starting with you, Ambassador Haley. House Republicans yesterday hauled elite university presidents up to Capitol Hill to answer for the displays of anti-Semitism on college campuses. These leaders, including the president of Harvard, were asked whether calling for the genocide of the Jews would violate school policies against harassment and intimidation.
That's crazy.
All of them said it would depend on the context, including whether that speech veers into conduct. How do you think these schools and the rest of society should balance the imperative of free speech against the need to prevent radical activists from harassing and intimidating others?
It was disgusting to see what happened. You know, if this had been the KKK that was doing protests on those campuses, every one of those college presidents would have been up in arms. This is just as bad. The idea that they would go and allow that kind of pro-Hamas protest or agree with the genocide of Jews and try and say that they needed context on that, there is no context to that. This is what we need to do to deal with it. First of all, we have got to get foreign money out of our universities. You've got Arab money, you've got Chinese money, you've got others. We need to go to every university and say, you either take foreign money or you take American money, but the days of taking both are over. The second thing we need to do is Biden made a mistake not including anti-Zionism in the definition of anti-Semitism. If you don't think that Israel has a right to exist, that is anti-Semitic. We will change the definition so that every government, every school has to acknowledge the definition for what it is. The third thing is we really do need to ban TikTok once and for all. And let me tell you why. For every 30 minutes that someone watches TikTok every day, they become 17% more anti-Semitic, more pro-Hamas based on doing that. We now know that 50% of adults 18 to 25 think that Hamas was warranted in what they did with Israel. That's a problem. When campuses also don't go and protect when they have these rallies and you've got students that are scared, we need to go to these universities and say, if you're not going to protect these students, if you're not going to acknowledge anti-Semitism, we'll take your tax-exempt status away. That'll fix it, and that'll take care of it for good.
Staying with you, Ambassador Haley. On October 6th, the Israeli government thought it had a clear-eyed view of the threat from Hamas. In fact, according to the New York Times, it even had Hamas's attack plan and dismissed it as an aspiration. The Israelis were wrong. In our country, the FBI director told the Senate panel just yesterday that he sees, quote, blinking red lights everywhere, and that the threat level has, quote, gone to a whole nother level since October 7th. Which of the threats facing our country do you worry could blindside us?
What worries me and what keeps me up at night is what happens between now and Election Day while Joe Biden's in office. That's what worries me more than anything else. But I'll tell you that America right now is acting like it's September 10th. We better remember what September 12th felt like, because it only takes one. And whether you're looking at open borders that are allowing people to come in, Iran knows the easiest way to get to America is through the southern border. And we're not doing anything to stop it. We've got to get the foreign infiltration out of our country, whether it's in our schools, whether it's on our social media, whether it's we need to stop all foreign lobbying that's happening to members of Congress. And we need to start securing America again. Until we do that, we are going to be at threats. We've got to look at Iran, China, and Russia want to destroy the West. We have to start acting strong again. We've got to start protecting Americans. Right now, Americans don't feel protected, and we're not doing anything to strengthen it. So Joe Biden continues to be a problem. That'll change on Election Day.
Governor DeSantis, if China invades Taiwan, would you send American troops, as President Biden has said he would do?
We will be able to deter that from happening. I think that's the important thing. We need a strategy of denial so that we're deterring Xi's ambitions.
What if it doesn't work?
It's going to work. Taiwan's an ally. We have longstanding American policy, and you know how that's done, and we will follow that. But here's the thing. Taiwan is important not just because of semiconductors. It's important because if China is able to break out of this first island chain, they're going to be able to dominate commerce in the entire Indo-Pacific. They will use that to export authoritarianism all around the world, including here in the United States. You look at some of these guys, actually some of them that are supporting Nikki on Wall Street, they grovel to China. Anytime something happens, they got to go do that. So they already exert a huge amount of authority over this country. It will get a lot worse. So deterring China's ambitions is the #1 national security task that I will do as president, and we will succeed. The 21st century needs to be an American century. We cannot let it be a Chinese century.
Mr. Ramaswamy,
I think we need to be clear. I'll be clear on the same issue, if I may.
I'm coming to you next on Taiwan. You said if you want to stop Xi from invading Taiwan, quote, let's open a branch of the NRA in Taiwan and put an AR-15 in the hands of every family and train them how to use it. That will give Xi a taste of American exceptionalism, end quote. The National Police in Taiwan announced a zero-gun policy last year. Is this a serious policy proposal? And if it isn't, why do you keep repeating it?
Well, it's part of a broader deterrence strategy. And so I think I'm going to respectfully disagree with Ron here. I think the next U.S. president needs to be crystal clear that at least for the foreseeable future, the U.S. will absolutely defend Taiwan. And it is with that clarity that we actually achieve deterrence. But I have a broader strategy than that. We need to get on side in our relationship with India, take it to the next level. India has to be able to block the Andaman Sea, which is where China gets most of its Middle Eastern oil supplies. That's critical. I also do believe the Second Amendment is a critical way of preventing foreign autocrats from being able to, it's worked in America, why wouldn't it work in Taiwan? So it is part of a broader strategy. But I do think that we need to be specific about our deterrence strategy, or else Xi Jinping is
The law against civilians having guns in Ukraine ended as soon as Russia invaded. So if you risk being invaded by another country, you should allow your citizens to be armed. That's the only way you can protect your country from invasion, is making a Swiss kind of situation where it's very difficult to get in. But that's a historical
is just
story
encroaching by the day. And the reason why we're not doing it for China, I want to be crystal clear, is because we're scared. Why are we scared? Because we depend on them for our modern way of life. Why do we depend on them for our modern?
His first debate, he said his foreign policy was just drilling for more oil and that would solve all the problems. So he's learning during the debates, which is not a good sign. He's not ready, so I would say.
Way of life. It's because Nikki Haley's latest friends like Larry Fink have
got interesting things to say about crypto.
With BlackRock telling Exxon and Chevron they can't drill here, while being a shareholder of PetroChina, not applying those same constraints in China. So it is our economic dependence on China that makes us scared. If that were a Russian spy balloon, we'd have shot it down in an instant. If that were a Russian spy base in Cuba, we'd be actually going hard on them instead of turning the other way as we are with China. So it comes back down to that economic dependence. We cannot depend on them for our pharmaceuticals, our semiconductors, and people have been lied to for a long time. Our own military, the F-35 jets that we make in this country, depend on China, and it's going to take an outsider to fix that broken establishment.
Thank you, Mr. Ramaswamy. Ambassador Haley, would you like to respond?
I mean, when it comes to China and Taiwan, the one way that we keep China from going into Taiwan is, one, make sure that we win in Ukraine, that we protect our friends, but also let China know that they'll be hell to pay if they go into Taiwan. They need to know that there is going to be a force that's going to go against them. And they need to know it's not just going to be the United States. That is why we need to build our partnerships with India, with South Korea, with Japan, with the Philippines, with Australia. We need to start pulling that alliance together.
Vietnam
and the first way we do that is we need to make sure that on day one, we look at the fact, if China pulled the rug out from under us tomorrow, would we be ready? Think about what happened during COVID. Everybody told you to wear a mask. They were made in China. Everybody told you to take a COVID test. They were made in China. Everybody went and, I mean, everything that happened, if you go to the drugstore, all those medicines are made in China. We have to make sure that we are not relying on China for anything related to our national security, which means let's start focusing on doing deals with our friends now.
We're longer made in Europe and the US.
Governor Christie, I'd like you to weigh in on that. And do you think arming every family in Taiwan with an AR-15 is a plausible policy?
You know, I don't think we have constitutional authority over Taiwan to give them a Second Amendment. I think they can only do that for themselves. But look, I want to be really clear. Once again, I want to play the role of actually answering your question, which is if China went after Taiwan, you're absolutely right. I would, as president, have us go militarily and defend them.
Does he answer the question?
Secondly, I'm not afraid, based upon those economic relationships, to do that, because these economic relationships mean nothing. Nothing. If what's going to happen is that China is going to come and act in that region of the world however they see fit. It's not right. And I'll say this about what I heard from Nikki earlier. She said that Donald Trump was good on trade. He wasn't. And the proof that he wasn't good on trade with China is that all he did was impose tariffs, which raised the prices for every American. You want to know what has contributed to inflation in this country? Yes, it's more government spending. Yes, it's the fact that we're printing too much money. Absolutely. But it is also the increase in prices that were driven by Donald Trump's tariffs. And one last thing. You can't say he was good on trade because he didn't change one Chinese policy in the process. He failed on it.
Thank you, Governor Christie. Governor DeSantis, switching subjects here. For 15 years, Republicans have been burned by politicians' promises to repeal Obamacare. Trump repeatedly promised to replace it with, quote, something terrific. but failed to propose anything. You're now promising something better, but Florida has more uninsured people than almost any other state. Why should Americans trust you more than any other Republicans who've disappointed them on this issue?
Well, I think we have millions of Americans who do not have access to affordable health care. And it's not just getting some type of card and Medicaid, because a lot of times they don't even get access to doctors. You actually get access to care. The other thing is we have millions and millions of people who don't have access to good doctors and good hospitals. Florida did not expand Obamacare. I think the states that did that, I think are struggling financially. So that, yes, we declined to do that. And I don't think that that was the right policy to do. But we are going to go after the cost. You're paying too much for everything. We've actually addressed this in Florida in some ways, but you need price transparency. You need to hold the pharmaceuticals accountable. You need to hold big insurance and big government accountable. And we're going to get that done. I think it's very, very important economically. I think it's very, very important for the country that we get that done.
Go ahead.
Yeah, so I actually wanted to, this is a very personal issue to our family. I wanted to take actually a minute to recognize my wife who's here today. Badass surgeon. She did a bunch of cases with cancer survivors earlier today, flew here to be tonight. We'll be back at 7 a.m. in Columbus, Ohio tomorrow, taking care of those patients in the OR. And on the front lines of people who have actually not swallowed for years. And here's what's something that's awful that's happening in our healthcare system. They'll pay for anything like feeding tubes, doctors to be pill pushers, but for the procedures that can actually make these patients better, we have a broken healthcare system that doesn't pay for it. My wife, Apoorva, in many cases, does not get paid for those procedures. She does them anyway because it's the right thing to do. But that does not work system-wide. So here's the answer. We don't have a healthcare system in this country. We have a sick care system. We need to start having diverse insurance options in a competitive marketplace that cover actual health, preventative medicine, diet, exercise, lifestyle, and otherwise. And here's how we deliver that. End the antitrust exemptions for health insurance companies. That's where the competitive marketplace begins. That's crony capitalism, and that's the answer.
Okay, through Operation Warp Speed,
Antitrust exemptions. Okay,
the Trump
so he wants
administration and
antitrust
private
laws
industry
to apply
developed the
to
COVID
pharmaceutical
vaccine in
companies.
record time.
That
The
actually
program
might
protected
end,
the drug companies from
insurance
virtually
companies. That
all
makes sense.
lawsuits over vaccine injuries. The government has a program to compensate for such harm, but critics say it is a black hole of bureaucracy. 12,000 claims filed, 10% decided, only 8 payouts so far, in a forum with no right to counsel, no hearings, no appeals. Mr. Trump says he's very proud of Warp Speed. Should he be?
Well, this question specifically on liability goes back to actually Reagan. And Reagan is a president who I admire. Many of us do. I think that reviving that spirit is in many ways going to be good for this country in so many ways. But one of the areas where he erred was this special form of lobbying to say that one kind of manufacturer, a vaccine manufacturer, cannot be sued for their product liability. So I have pledged, it is part of my legislative agenda, we will repeal that, just like we will repeal every other form of crony capitalism. People who have been harmed by those vaccines deserve accountability. They cannot be forgotten Americans. And I think one of the top lessons we learned from that COVID pandemic is that free speech in this country is most important in those alleged times of emergency. If we had been allowed to openly debate the merits of those vaccines, they would have been never mandated in the way that they were. And in general, I don't think that we should want capitalism and democracy to share the same bed anymore. It's time for a clean divorce.
I'm seeing a lot of comments about India because of Vivek Ramaswamy speaking, I guess. Yeah, he's his family are originally from India, but he's an American citizen running for American president. It's interesting. The president or prime ministers of Ireland, the UK, Scotland are all Indian right now.
Companies be companies, but I don't like the crony capitalism. This dates back a long time in both parties. And I think that we need to end the lobbying. And I personally believe that if you have been working in the government, you should not lobby that government for 10 years. If you have been a government elected official doing deals with companies, be they Boeing or be they pharmaceutical companies, you should not join the board of that company for 10 years after. The former chairman of the FDA, the leader commissioner of the FDA, ended up on the board of Pfizer. Nikki Haley did deals with Boeing, ends up on the board of Boeing. I don't care if it's a Republican or a Democrat. We need some basic principles that end the corruption in government. That's how we got the health insurance exemptions. That's how we got the pharmaceutical product liability exemptions.
Thank you.
We end the corruption.
We need We need a reckoning for what this government did during COVID-19. That includes the mRNA shots. They put it out. It was experimental. People wanted it. Then the government started trying to mandate it, to say you don't have a right to put food on your table if you don't take an mRNA shot that was under emergency use. They tried to take nurses away. Now, in Florida, we blocked that. We provided protections for everybody so that they wouldn't lose their job. You also have the FDA approving an mRNA shot for 6-month-old babies. There was no data to support that. They're doing it because big pharma will make money. So I'm going to go in there, CDC, NIH, FDA. We're going to clean house. There's going to be a reckoning because right now nobody's been held accountable for any of the damage. And they're going to try to do it again. When I'm president, this will never happen to our country ever again.
Thank you, Governor DeSantis. And we will be right back in just a few moments for our closing statements from our 4 candidates at the Republican primary debate.
After closing statements, we'll go to crypto news. I know, yeah, I watch these debates.
Welcome
even
back to the
if
News
it's not for the
Nation
show.
Republican primary debate here in Tuscaloosa,
Because they
Alabama.
vote, so I need to know what people are saying.
We're going to do one final question before closing statements, and we want to get you all in. So we're going to give you 45 seconds for this last one. Governor Christie, we're going to start with you. Which former president would you draw inspiration from for your own presidency, and why?
I would draw inspiration from Ronald Reagan. In the last year, I've spent a lot of time writing a book about President Reagan that's going to be called What Would Reagan Do? That book's going to come out early in 2024. And what I learned more than anything else was that Ronald Reagan was a slave to the truth. Ronald Reagan stood up for the truth, whether it was popular or unpopular at the moment. In 1964, he stood up against the John Birch Society when it was very unpopular to the party to do it, but he would not put up with our party standing for lies and deceit, even if it gave him political progress. That's the kind of president that I will be, and I would draw that inspiration from the 40th president of the United States, Ronald Reagan.
Ambassador Haley?
Well, I have to say, too, I think George Washington, when you look at the responsibilities he had of how do you go and take on this great American experiment and make sure that the people are protected. And they always knew that government was intended to secure the rights and freedoms of the people. It was never meant to be all things to all people. And then you look at Abraham Lincoln and you look at the challenges and you look at the division that happened in our country and the ability to lead in spite of the loud noises and say, what will bring out the best in people to get us to go forward is always something that's important. And I think we need that now more than ever.
Governor DeSantis.
Reagan, Washington, Lincoln, excellent. One of the guys I'll take inspiration from is Calvin Coolidge. Now, people don't talk about him a lot. He's one of the few presidents that got almost everything right. He understood the proper role of the federal government under the Constitution. We need to restore the U.S. Constitution as the centerpiece of our national life. And that requires a president who understands the original understanding of the Constitution, who has a good sense of the Bill of Rights, and who knows how we've gone off track with this massive fourth branch of government, this administrative state, which is imposing its will on us and is being weaponized against us. So Silent Cal knew the proper role of the federal government. The country was in great shape when he was president of the United States, and we can learn an awful lot from Calvin Coolidge.
Over to you, Mr. Ramaswamy, to conclude our history lesson.
Sure. Well, I will say Ron picked a president who was born on July 4th. I'll pick one who died on July 4th. It's Thomas Jefferson. He was 33 years old when he wrote the Declaration of Independence. And you all are sitting on a swivel chair today. He invented the swivel chair while he was at it, while writing that Declaration of Independence. That's that founding spirit that we miss, that we're the pioneers, we're the explorers, the guy who sent him out on the Lewis and Clark expeditions. And I think a lot about what would Thomas Jefferson say to today's Republican Party. And I think one thing he'd remind us of, we haven't talked about it as much tonight, but I think it is one of the interesting ideological
Party didn't exist when
discussions we're having in our
Jefferson was
party
president.
is freedom of speech. You get to express your mind freely, no matter how heinous the opinion. Thomas Jefferson understood that.
All
He's
right,
an inspiration for me.
Thank you, Mr. Ramaswamy. And believe it or not, it's time for closing statements. Governor Christie, would you like to begin?
Sure, thank you. I want you all to kind of picture in your minds Election Day. You'll all be heading to the polls to vote, and that's something that Donald Trump will not be able to do.
because he will be convicted of felonies before then, and his right to vote will be taken away. You know, look, here's the bottom line. You can boo about it all you like and continue to deny reality. But if we deny reality as a party, we're going to have 4 more years of Joe Biden. When my colleagues here raised their hands and said they would support him, even if he was a convicted felon, the bigger problem with it is they were confirming the lies he's told to the American people. If you're too timid to take on Trump, believe me, others will see that timidity. Xi, Putin, and the Ayatollah, the border crossers on the southern border, and the criminals in our streets. They'll sense that timidity, and they'll take advantage of that failure of leadership. We need to get back to an old American idea that every person is responsible for their own conduct, even a president. I'll be the kind of president who has the humility that knows that you work for the people. It's not the other way around. I will earn your trust. I want to earn your vote.
Thank you, Governor Christie. Mr. Ramaswamy?
I'll use this to just address a topic we didn't talk about tonight, but I think is one of the most important topics that needs to be discussed. That is this climate change agenda that is shackling this country like a set of handcuffs. I said it at the first debate, and I stand by it. The climate change agenda is a hoax because it has nothing to do with the climate. That's what we have to see. 98% reduction in the climate disaster-related deaths in the last century. 8 times as many people are going to die of cold temperatures this year than warm ones. Yet against that backdrop, there's an issue coming up in Iowa. It's core to Iowa farmers. I met Kim Junker, Kathy Stockdale, and other farmers who are about to have a carbon capture pipeline built across their land using eminent domain to do it. That's unconstitutional and it's wrong. And if you thought COVID was bad, what's coming with this climate agenda is far worse. We should not be bending the knee to this new religion. That is what it is. It is a substitute for a modern religion. We are flogging ourselves and losing our modern way of life, bowing to this new god of climate, and that will end on my watch. It's the most critical issue that's coming up. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Our country is in chaos. We see it on the southern border. We see it on our streets in our cities. We see it on college campuses. We feel it with our economy, with inflation and with debt. And we feel it around the world with wars in Europe and within the Middle East. We have to stop the chaos, but you can't defeat Democrat chaos with Republican chaos. And that's what Donald Trump gives us. My approach is different. No drama, no vendettas, no whining. I envision an America where we're protected from illegal immigration and Chinese infiltration. I envision an America where we unleash our economy and we reject socialism. But more importantly, I envision an America where we rediscover our national purpose and our pride.
Thank you.
I crushed Joe Biden in the polls. And if you give me this chance, we will crush him in November and take our country back.
Governor.
Go to Nikki
Thank you, Ambassador Haley. Governor DeSantis.
We are in jeopardy of being the first generation of Americans to leave to our kids and grandkids an America less prosperous and less free than the one we inherited. I refuse to sit idly by and let that happen. But we got to have people that are going to be willing to fight the people that are doing this to us. You can't be these establishment Republicans that just cave at the first sign of opposition. I'll fight for you. We also need to win again as a party. Yes, win the election, which we've struggled to do, but also win on these big issues. And nobody has defeated these people more than what I have done in the state of Florida on issue after issue. We have won, and we have won big, and that's what we'll do for you. We also need leadership. Leadership is not about doing what's easy. It's about being willing to set out that vision, knowing they're going to shoot arrows at you. They're going to come at you. I will fight the good fight. I will keep the faith, and I will finish the race. Thank you, and God bless you.
Thank you, all of you. Thanks to all of you. Thanks for watching.
No, that's the end of that debate. All right. Before YouTube sends me somewhere else, you can actually find the whole debate on YouTube, which is rare these days. All right. All right, let's go over to Crypto News. If you guys like the fact that we actually cover political debates, like and subscribe. And I'm thinking it's sad that Nikki Haley and Chris Christie didn't get a chance to answer the crypto question because they moved to an ad break at that point. And I was hoping that Ramaswamy wasn't going to talk about climate change, but he was going to talk about crypto at the end there. One thing we didn't talk about much, I was like, oh, is he going to talk about crypto? So there were, Ron DeSantis wants to ban CBDCs in the United States, which is interesting. It's the opposite way of looking at things in China. So only private cryptos would be allowed at that point. Ramaswamy seems to be aligned with him on that. It's one thing they get along on. Other than that, a lot of different points of view on other things. So we'll see who wins the primaries. That's going to be on the Republican side. That's going to be important. So that there may be changes in the SEC and others if the Republicans win the presidential and congressional races. So let's take a look here. Let's go through the news. What do we have? Okay, we covered this last time. We covered that. Twitch announces plans to cease operations in South Korea. I don't remember this. I think I would have noticed this. Twitch has announced plans to cease services in South Korea, citing several issues, broader trends in the network operating environment. Let's see. Twitch, a prominent video streaming service, has recently announced its decision to terminate operations in South Korea by February 27th. The move comes as a result of the platform deeming the cost of maintaining a presence in one of the world's largest esports markets as excessively high. Huh. Are they not making money off of it? So in a blog post, Twitch CEO Dan Clancy detailed the considerable efforts the company undertook to mitigate network costs, including experimenting with a peer-to-peer model and reducing streaming quality to 720p resolution. Peer-to-peer model, if you're sending directly from computer to computer, that's dangerous, actually. You can get hacked. Despite these measures, operating in South Korea remained 10 times more expensive than in most other countries, rendering the business unsustainable. This decision by Twitch underscores the broader challenges faced by content providers in dealing with the intricacies of various markets, particularly concerning regulatory environments and cost structures. South Korea's high internet fees have been a contentious issue, leading to legal disputes, such as the case where streaming giant Netflix unsuccessfully sued a local broadband supplier to avoid paying usage charges. The court ruled in favor of the broadband supplier, highlighting the complexities content providers face in navigating local regulations and network costs. Twitch's experience in South Korea is not isolated, as telecom operators in different markets, including India, are advocating for content providers to share the burden of network costs. Okay, so you have to pay per gigabyte that you send out? Wow. That's crazy. That's just, yeah. So once the system's set up, you shouldn't have to pay per gigabyte. You should pay per a monthly fee or something. It's now a necessary service to do work at this point. I guess I'm a content provider in this sense, though, so maybe they don't care what I think in the South Korean government. Bitcoin ordinals cause commotions amid congestion issues. I've seen this happening for a while now. Bitcoin ordinal inscriptions have caused a commotion on the blockchain amid congestion issues. So the recent flirtation with the $45,000 mark has reignited discussions around the contentious topic of ordinal inscriptions. Luke Deschiger, a Bitcoin Core developer, has raised concerns about inscriptions exploiting a vulnerability in Bitcoin Core, effectively spamming the blockchain. And I've seen people wondering what some of these ordinal inscriptions are actually doing, because they seem to be sending empty content to the blockchain and just slowing everything down. And they'll have thousands of requests in backlog, just sending over and over, slowing down the whole system. Discord redesigns its mobile app to unveil new features. Discord has rolled out a new update of its app. Let's see. Discord's recent mobile app refresh marks a significant evolution, responding to user feedback and adapting the changing landscape of user preferences. Originally conceived in 2015 with a primary focus on serving as a companion app for PC gamers, Discord has since grown exponentially in terms of functionality and user base. The latest redesign rolling out this week not only addresses user requests, but also redefines the mobile Discord experience, making it more user-friendly and in line with contemporary messaging app trends. So Discord is one of the main things used for communication in the crypto space. Originally it was for gaming, but it's also used for a lot of crypto projects. For example, there are grants for Polygon projects, for example, going on their Discord, and you can communicate with the people that are putting out their proposals to receive the grants, and then as a community member, vote for them and everything outside the Discord. But everything else, you can find all the news and everything in the Discord. And I'm seeing this for more and more blockchains. They'll have a community on Discord. They'll have a Twitter or an X account where they post updates. And then they may also have Telegram channels where they give updates like on Twitter as well. But the place where people from a community in Web3 tends to meet and discuss things more freely is on Discord. So upgrades to the mobile app will actually affect how easily these different communities communicate outside of a desktop or a laptop. Bitcoin surges to $44,000 as short traders lose $160 million. That was on December 6th, by the way. We have to catch up from Wednesday. ARK Invest sells significant holdings in Coinbase and Grayscale Bitcoin trusts. It's impressive. Actually, I have a limit on how long I can do this. I can only do this for 2 hours. Otherwise, Binance Live will shut me down for 2 more hours. BlackRock may gain competitive edge with potential approval of Bitcoin ETF. Yeah, if they're the first ones out. We'll see what happens. Vulnerability in Bitcoin Core raises concerns about blockchain integrity. Let's see what's going on here. Bitcoin Core's inscription vulnerability threatens blockchain integrity. Bitcoin knots fix the issue, but Bitcoin Core remains vulnerable. Ordinals and BRC20 tokens are fraudulent and will disappear, according to somebody. So this is Luke Desher again. He said, inscriptions are exploiting a vulnerability in Bitcoin Core to spam the blockchain. Bitcoin Core has since 2013 allowed users to set a limit on the size of extra data and transactions they relay or mine, data carrier size, by obfuscating their data as program code. Okay, so they're abusing the system a little bit, if not a lot, depending on who's doing it. Orderly Network unveils Orderly Omnichain SDK. Orderly Network has launched the Orderly Omnichain SDK, a toolkit designed to simplify the integration of cross-chain functionalities for developers within the Near ecosystem. The SDK enhances cross-chain interoperability and liquidity, leveraging Layer 0 technology, and marks a significant advancement in decentralized trading protocols. So you guys know the Near ecosystem. That's good news for that. Like upgrades and updates for an ecosystem. Cosmos breaks new ground with Comet BFT V1 alpha release. Cosmos has launched the Comet BFT V1 alpha version, introducing key enhancements such as reduced bandwidth consumption, modularization. I can take this off actually. I'm able to breathe a little bit more. It's a heavy headset. Improved integrator experience aimed at boosting network efficiency and development speed. This alpha release allows for iterative changes to the Go API, facilitating ongoing optimization and testing in preparation for the final stable version, thereby ensuring a robust and scalable blockchain platform. It's interesting. Dodo decentralized exchange improves trading with dynamic slippage feature. So Dodo Decentralized Exchange has introduced a dynamic slippage feature utilizing advanced statistical methods to provide accurate slippage predictions, thereby reducing the likelihood of failed transactions and enhancing user trading experience. This innovative feature also lowers the risk of minor extractable value or MEV attacks, and is currently available to all users with plans to open its API to developers, further advancing the DeFi ecosystem. That's interesting. So like anybody who has a DeFi project can then go in and use that to improve their system. That's awesome. Polyhedra network enhances user experience with Trust Wallet integration. I think this is pretty straightforward, but let's take a look. Offering users a more secure and decentralized platform for initiating NFT and token transfers. Yeah, Trust Wallet compared to some others might be pretty good depending on what you were using before. The integration emphasizes Polyhedra's focus on enhancing cross-chain interoperability and user experience through its ZK bridge technology, bridging layer 1 and layer 2 blockchain networks. Bitcoin ordinals flow addressed, paving the way for a stronger crypto future. Luc Desjardins, a Bitcoin Core developer, highlighted a critical vulnerability. The vulnerability allowed creators to embed excessive data onto Satoshis, leading to blockchain spam. Bitcoin Core has had a feature to limit extra transaction data since 2013, but inscriptions bypassed this limit. So new fix targets Bitcoin ordinals flaw. So they Desjardins elaborated on how ordinals and BRC20 token creators have exploited a loophole in the Bitcoin Core software. This exploitation has enabled them to embed excessive data on Satoshis. He explained that although the Bitcoin Core code has had a feature to limit the size of extra data in transactions since 2013, inscriptions used by these creators bypass this limit by disguising their data as program code. The recent update to Bitcoin Knots, a derivative of Bitcoin Core with additional features, has addressed this bug. This update is significant because it prevents inscriptions from bypassing the data size limit, potentially stopping new Bitcoin ordinals and BRC20 tokens, causing network congestion. Okay, so they fixed the issue with too much information being sent on Bitcoin. On Bitcoin Core, nice. Lugano, Switzerland accepts crypto for local tax payments. That's interesting. Now accepts Bitcoin and Tether for all municipal service payments, including taxes. This initiative is part of Lugano's Plan B, aiming to integrate Bitcoin technology into the city's financial system. Lugano joins other Swiss cities in embracing cryptocurrency, supported by Bitcoin Swiss's technical infrastructure. Nice. That'll be practical for anybody in Switzerland, or anybody in Lugano, I should say. South Korea collaborates with Italy on CBDC initiatives. Why? That's a surprising kind of partnership. They're on the opposite side of the world. South Korea and Italy's central banks signed an agreement to share knowledge on CBDCs and IT payment systems. The partnership combines Italy's focus on DLT-based transactions with South Korea's extensive CBDC pilot program. This collaboration highlights global interest in CBDCs despite varying opinions on digital currency implementation. Let's see what exactly. Italy's Banca d'Italia and the Bank of Korea are working together on this. It's not just a routine international agreement. So distributed ledger technology is what the DLT stands for, using hash-linked contracts. This method deviates from the more common wholesale CBDC approach observed in other European countries. On the other hand, South Korea has been actively piloting its CBDC infrastructure since October, involving both private banks and public institutions, with technical support from the Bank for International Settlements. This memorandum of understanding signifies a mutual commitment to sharing insights on ICT issues related to real-time settlement systems and CBDCs. The synergy is expected to yield innovative solutions, marrying Italy's focus on DLT-based transaction settlements with South Korea's holistic CBDC pilot program. Okay. Could see something for the digital euro and something for the Korean CBDC. That'd be interesting. How governments are spying on us through the internet. Governments use app push notifications for surveillance. Google and Apple servers central to data access. Tech giants aim for more transparency in data requests. Senator Ron Wyden recently raised the alarm about this covert surveillance pathway. It seems that some governments, which remain unnamed for now, are using the push notifications from our everyday apps as a means to keep tabs on us. It's a clever tactic. While we casually swipe away these notifications, someone might be taking notes. Think about it. Every alert, every nudge from your apps passes through the servers of tech giants like Google and Apple. Yeah, because they're on their phone. That's not just a data transfer, that's a goldmine of information for those with the right access. So what's the big deal? Well, imagine a world where your government knows what news you're reading, what deals you're snagging, and which team you're rooting for in the big game. It's a bit like having a personal diary, but one that the government can read whenever it pleases. Apple, in a rare moment of candor triggered by Wyden's revelations, admitted that they've been under wraps about this. The US government, it seems, had their lips sealed. But now as this surveillance method comes to light, they're looking to be more transparent about these government requests. Google echoes this sentiment, stressing their commitment to user awareness. However, the Department of Justice remains tight-lipped, offering no comment on the matter. It's not just a US thing. The sources point out that democracies allied with the US are also in on this game. They're seeking metadata from push notifications, aiming to connect the dots between anonymous app users and their Google or Apple accounts. It's a global dance of data with users unwittingly taking part. I can imagine in like more dictatorship-led countries it'd be even worse. Tech experts have occasionally raised concerns, but it's been more of a whisper than a rally cry. Earlier this year, French developer David Libaud called out this privacy nightmare, but his warnings seem to have fallen on deaf ears. The irony is that we often worry about privacy settings and data sharing on social media, yet something as innocuous as a push notification slips under our radar. Of course it does. We think it's something targeting us with information, not something getting information from us, usually, correct? That's the way I've always looked at it. It's like, oh my gosh, don't spam me with stuff. And now it's actually a way for you to spam the government with your info. Interesting. China's currency revolution defies odds on the global stage. Despite depreciation against the US dollar, China's renminbi has doubled its global payment share in 2023. China's strategic push includes using renminbi for trade settlements and developing its own payment system, CIPs. That's a really weird thing to read. While the renminbi's role in trade grows, its limitations as a convertible investment currency persist. So it's losing value. It's more unstable than other currencies, a lot of other big world currencies, but it's growing in use around the world. It's very odd. That's usually not how that works. Usually people try to buy currencies that are more stable than their own. China continues its relentless US dollar exodus. China's state-run banks are selling off US dollars to bolster the Chinese yuan, following a negative outlook from Moody's. This aggressive move aims to reduce China's dependency on the US dollar and strengthen the yuan in global markets. All central banks do this. Despite short-term success, there are doubts about the long-term sustainability of the strategy in the face of ongoing currency volatility. Yeah, because for this to continue, they'd have to continue buying dollars or bringing dollars in order to sell them. So it has a limit to how long they can do that. So Russia's been doing that as well. And one of the things they do on top of it is they buy rubles with gold to raise the value of the ruble. So their central bank is actually running out of dollars and gold because they've been trying to keep their currency up that way. So China's trying to do the same thing. You can't do that for a long period of time. Hong Kong's SFC issues fraud warning against 2 crypto entities. The Securities and Futures Commission, SFC of Hong Kong, has warned against fraudulent activities by crypto entities Hong Kong Digital Research Institute and BitCupt, blocking their websites. Misleading claims about affiliations and licensing on these platforms' websites led to the SFC's action to protect investors from potential scams. The SFC's policy updates, effective June 2024, require Hong Kong crypto exchanges to have a virtual asset service provider license, exchanging consumer protection in the currency enhancing consumer protection in the cryptocurrency market. I think that's June 2023. Otherwise, they wouldn't have been able to act on it. But yeah, so those two have been closed down for now. Interesting. That's yeah. JP Morgan CEO Jamie Dimon voices strong opposition to cryptocurrencies at US Senate hearing. I do remember seeing some excerpts about this. Dimon urges some anti-money laundering rules for crypto as traditional banks. Same anti-money laundering rules for crypto as traditional banks. Despite JP Morgan's blockchain use, Dimon distinguishes it from risky cryptocurrencies. Yeah, he really doesn't like crypto from the video. It's actually pretty amazing. Seattle court approves guilty plea of ex-Binance CEO Changpeng Zhao. So Binance Holdings and his former CEO Changpeng Zhao pleaded guilty to U.S. anti-money laundering and sanctions law violations, agreeing to a $4.3 billion settlement. CZ resigned as CEO following the guilty plea as part of the settlement with the U.S. authorities. And Judge Richard Jones approved the plea agreements as revealed in recent court documents in the U.S. District Court for the Western District of Washington in Seattle. So that's official now. It's happened. It's not just an agreement. It's being run through the judicial system, and it's been agreed to there as well. Coinbase adds support for Solana-based JTO token. So they announced the addition of the GTO or JTO token, a new Solana-based asset with trading commencing on December 7th, 2023. This follows CEO Brian Armstrong's praise of Solana for its speed and cost effectiveness. JTO serves as the governance token of the GTO network on Solana with a focus on decentralized decision making. So is it like a DAO or something? I'm not very familiar with them specifically. There are a lot of projects out there. Can't know them all. So the GTO network, standing as the second largest protocol on Solana by total value locked, aims to empower its users by decentralizing decision-making processes. The token's total supply is capped at 1 billion, with 10% earmarked for airdrop to contributors to the GTO network's development. This airdrop, which includes GTO SOL holders and various participants in DeFi protocols related to Solana, represents a pivotal moment in GTO's journey towards a more democratic and community-driven governance model. The airdrop's eligibility criteria encompass many GTO ecosystem participants, including longstanding GTO SOL holders, Solana validators, and users engaging with GTO's MEV products. The token allocation is structured to facilitate community growth, with 34.3% of the total supply dedicated to this purpose. Additionally, 25% is allocated for ecosystem development, while 24.5% supports core contributors. Investors receive 16.2% of the supply, and investor tokens will be unlocked over 3 years. Okay, so it's a new project, sorry, basically on Solana. That's interesting. Bitslato founder pleads guilty and dissolves platform. Okay, what's going on here? Bitslato founder pleads guilty to illegal crypto operation, will shut down exchange and forfeit $23 million. The Department of Justice targets crypto crime, closes Hydra Market linked to Bitslato, seizing $700 million. Bail denied for Leg Kodimov, Russian national, amid crypto charges. Crypto community surprised by Department of Justice action. Yeah, so the founder, yeah. So U.S. Attorney Breon Peace described Bitslato as a platform that sold itself to criminals as a no questions asked cryptocurrency exchange and reaped hundreds of millions of dollars worth of deposits as a result. As part of the plea agreement, like Kodimov will take the drastic step of dissolving Bitslato entirely. Additionally, he will relinquish any claims over approximately $23 million in seized assets associated with the exchange. While this marks a significant blow to the dark web's crypto infrastructure, a sentencing date for Leg Kodimov has not yet been set. That means there's something else going on. That's interesting. Binance's new CEO keeps global HQ location secret. Interesting. Binance's CEO won't say where their HQ is, raising transparency questions. Binance faces U.S. scrutiny and must comply with a monitor for 5 years. The ex-CEO pleaded guilty and left, and Binance's China ties are controversial. That's interesting. Teng's refusal to divulge Binance's global headquarters location was met with defiance. He questioned the sense of entitlement behind the demand for such information and stated, "Why do you feel so entitled to those answers? Is there a need for us to share all of this information publicly?" No. Teng did, however, reveal that Binance's European headquarters in France and Middle East headquarters in Dubai, promising to unveil the global headquarters as and when it's appropriate. This response raises questions about the transparency and regulatory compliance of one of the world's largest cryptocurrency exchanges. Binance has long been criticized for its opaque corporate structure and its perceived ties to China, despite officially leaving the country several years ago. That is strange. But I feel like it's not the only one. I feel like a bunch of exchanges are unclear about where their headquarters actually is. European Central Bank report highlights the role of crypto. Cryptocurrencies like Bitcoin are becoming popular in emerging economies as speculative investments due to limited investment options. Inflation and currency devaluation drive people in unstable economies to see cryptocurrencies as a safer way to store value. Cryptocurrencies are gaining traction for cross-border transactions and evading capital controls, especially in countries with weakened fiat currencies. So the European Central Bank has released a report shedding light on the growing adoption of cryptocurrencies, particularly Bitcoin, in emerging and developing economies. That's 3 key factors, and we just talked about them. That's interesting. Do Kwon appeals extradition order amidst allegations of financial crimes. Does that mean that he's still in Montenegro? Terraform Labs co-founder Do Kwon appeals extradition order over alleged financial crimes, causing delays in the decision on his destination for trial. Kwon, who faced arrest after months on the run, prefers extradition to South Korea, while U.S. authorities claim jurisdiction in a crypto fraud case. The international manhunt for Kwon and the resulting stain on cryptocurrency's reputation continues to overshadow Terra's prominence in the crypto industry. So yeah, he's appealing the Montenegrin High Court's decision to extradite him. It's interesting. All things considered, China's economy is still bigger than US's. I mean, there are more people. What exactly do you mean? China's economy, when measured in purchasing power parity, has surpassed the United States. Traditional market exchange rate comparisons are misleading and mask China's true economic size. The shift in global economic power is evident through China's larger PPP GDP, and so like purchasing power parity GDP and rapid growth in sectors like electricity generation. That's not how that works, but okay. The purchasing power parity just means that they can buy more with the same amount of money. That's the case in a lot of poorer countries. Huh. It's a statistic, I guess, you can use to try to push for one way of seeing things or the other. Federal Reserve will keep rates high until at least the second quarter of 2024. Does that mean they won't raise rates? Federal Reserve plans to maintain high interest rates at least until the third quarter of 2024, diverging from Wall Street's earlier expectations. Economists forecast a modest rate cut by the Fed in 2024, possibly only half of a percentage point, amidst varying market predictions. Fed's cautious stance is influenced by a resilient labor market and the need to balance inflation control with economic growth. Yeah, they can't raise it more, otherwise that could cause more issues than help. XRP to host inaugural digital inheritance solution with Anodos. Anodos and Safe Haven have partnered strategically to integrate the SHA token and Inherity, a unique digital inheritance solution into the XRP ledger. The integration enables trading of SHA tokens on XRPL's native decentralized exchange and the upcoming automated market maker. Anodos plans to launch Anodos Swap, a comprehensive trading and portfolio management platform on XRPL, enhancing user experience. So what does it do exactly? The integration of notable advancement in the realm of digital asset inheritance. Anodos will issue the SHA IOU on XRPL, allowing for the trading of SHA tokens on XRPL's native decentralized exchange and its forthcoming automated market maker. This move is expected to increase the accessibility and liquidity of SHA tokens significantly. Anodos has also revealed plans to develop Anodos Swap, a comprehensive trading and portfolio management platform on the XRPL. The introduction of Anodos Swap is set to enhance the trading experience on XRPL, with SHA tokens being listed on the platform and a SHA XRP liquidity pool being established to boost liquidity further. I don't really see that as a big deal yet. That could be interesting, though. France's top bank, Société Générale, launches a stablecoin. Société Générale launches Euro convertible, a euro-backed stablecoin on Luxembourg's Bitstamp exchange. The move marks a significant shift, offering a widely accessible stablecoin in contrast to limited access bank-issued stablecoins. Huh. That means anybody could buy a Société Générale-backed euro convertible. Société Générale, a titan in the banking sector and France's third largest bank, is embarking on an unprecedented venture. This Wednesday, the financial behemoth is set to unveil its own brand of stablecoin, aptly named Eurocoin Vertable. Interesting. Was not expecting that. Was not expecting that at all. Especially from Société Générale. Like French banks tend to be expensive to use and annoying to use, in my experience, and really slow. Not as slow as Montenegrin banks, but still. European Central Bank is praising crypto. Why and how? The European Central Bank acknowledges the rising global influence of cryptocurrencies, especially in emerging economies. Cryptocurrencies are appealing for speculation, cross-border transactions, and as a stable value store in inflation-hit regions. The European Central Bank says that this growing crypto trend poses potential financial risks, especially in less developed economies with unstable currencies. Well, those currencies are already going to collapse anyways. So it's not like crypto's making it worse. I mean, it might be making it worse a little bit, but not enough for it to actually change the future situation in those countries. It just speeds it up. Robinhood crypto debuts in EU with innovative loyalty program. Robinhood has expanded into the European market with its cryptocurrency trading services following the launch of stockbroking services in the UK. European investors can now trade over 25 cryptocurrencies on Robinhood's platform, including Bitcoin, Ether, and Solana's Sol. To attract and retain customers, Robinhood introduced a Bitcoin-based loyalty program that rewards users based on their monthly trading volume. Interesting. Republicans debate cryptocurrency and regulation. Yep, this is part of the debate we just had. The recent Republican presidential debate held in Tuscaloosa, Alabama, witnessed a significant discussion on cryptocurrency and regulatory policies. The event saw the participation of several prominent Republican leaders, with Vivek Ramaswamy taking the lead in addressing their crypto-related questions. Was the first to field a question regarding his stance on cryptocurrency. The question referred to the recent guilty plea of former Binance CEO Changpeng Zhao, who faced charges related to breaking sanctions and money transmitting laws. He said that regulations need to catch up with fraudsters, criminals, and terrorists defrauding people. The fact that SBF was able to do what he did with FTX shows that whatever they have under the current framework isn't working. Well, the thing is, what SBF did at FTX was illegal anyways. It's just their books weren't clear for the government to see either as well, or for any of the users for that matter. I don't think users would have supported it either if they knew that they were just taking their money and using it for their own personal means. Hong Kong SFC alerts on Hong Kong DAO and BitCup fraud concerns. We discussed that. Crypto market mix amid ETF and jobs data. Bitcoin's 15% surge and ETF hopes create mixed crypto market sentiment. Binance's CZ pleads guilty, drawing regulatory attention. Slower job growth impacts investor sentiment. Crypto market cap rises. So, curious. The U.S. Labor Department released data revealing a deceleration in private sector jobs creation during November, with wages experiencing their slowest growth in over 2 years. According to a report by payrolls processing firm ADP, companies added a mere 103,000 workers in November, slightly lower than the revised figure of 106,000 recorded in October. These economic indicators played a role in influencing investor sentiment. That's interesting. So that means investors aren't investing as much as they would if there were more jobs being created, but there are less jobs being created because there's not as much investment. It's one of those chicken or the egg kind of scenarios, seems like. Riot Blockchain spends a huge $290 million on Bitcoin miners. To capitalize on Bitcoin halving event coming up in 2024, with 72% being M66S models, Riot is set to boost its mining performance significantly. Investor confidence surges as Riot stock sees a 345% year-to-date growth in 2023. Yeah, that's interesting. Let's see here. Crypto clarity debate heats up in Congress. SEC grilled on regulation. In a recent congressional hearing, U.S. Congressman Tom Emmer engaged in a heated exchange with Valerie Szczepanik, the head of the Strategic Hub for Innovation and Financial Technology, or SHIFT, at the U.S. Securities and Exchange Commission, SEC. The interrogation focused on the SEC's approach to crypto regulation and the level of clarity provided to the market about how crypto assets can be deemed securities. He referenced a 2018 speech delivered by Bill Hinman, the former SEC director of the Division of Corporation Finance. In this speech, Hinman discussed the transformation of tokens from securities to non-securities and notably declared Ethereum not to be a security. Emmer inquired about Szczepanik's role in reviewing and commenting on drafts of Hinman's speech, to which she confirmed her involvement. Emmer then highlighted Szczepanik's suggestion during the draft review process, wherein she recommended providing less detail in the speech. He also pointed out her belief that the concept of a token morphing from a security to a non-security would generate significant discussion. So it's even more unclear, is basically what they're saying, than previously agreed on. So yeah, they definitely need to pass some rules. Nayib Bukele is still waiting on Bitcoin. El Salvador heads for Libertad Financiera. Financial liberty? Freedom. Since El Salvador, under Nayib Bukele, adopted Bitcoin as legal tender in the South American nation, his financial decisions have been fought by the likes of the IMF. At press time, Bitcoin trades at $43,234 with a $844 billion market capitalization, signifying a 51.13% market dominance. With this price, how much does El Salvador have in BTC investment? As of 2023, the Statista Research Department reports that the national debt in El Salvador stands at $25.75 billion. How much BTC does Bukele need to offset the growing debt? Interesting. So Bukele said El Salvador's Bitcoin investments are in the black. After literally thousands of articles and hit pieces that ridiculed our supposed losses, all of which were calculated based on Bitcoin's market price at the time. So they're doing good. Like, that would be a way of saying in the green for people that aren't involved in investment as much. Let's see. Okay, here's some numbers. Let's see, with that price, how much does El Salvador have in BTC investment? So El Salvador has 2,765 Bitcoins, according to all available information, and NaibTracker.com. According to the recent price, the nation has $119,420,073 million worth of BTC. Okay. So according to a BBC report, El Salvador spent $120 million on Bitcoin. It's only a fraction of public expenditures used to promote Bitcoin to Salvadorans. Since the country became the first to declare it legal tender in parity with the US dollar, the country's major currency. The government spent a lot of money on the development of the Chivo wallet application, on the installation of ATMs, which mostly do not work, on a $30 bonus for all citizens over 18 years of age, on propaganda and international events. When you add up all the expenses, the result cannot be positive. The result is in red, and in intense red, according to Oscar Picardo, director of the Institute of Sciences at the Francisco Gavidia University in San Salvador, El Salvador. Nayib begs to differ, according to his post on X. With the current Bitcoin market price, if we were to sell our Bitcoin, we would not only recover 100% of our investment, but also make a profit of $3,620,277 USD as of this moment. He adds that the nation has no intention of selling its holdings. Of course, we have no intention of selling. That has never been our objective. We are fully aware that the price will continue to fluctuate in the future. This doesn't affect our long-term strategy, says Bukele. Interesting. So Binance sets compensation for AEUR buyers after price jump. Binance has announced a compensation plan for users affected by the AEUR stablecoin price surge. The stablecoin introduced on Binance's spot market experienced an unexpected 200% increase in value. This price spike led to Binance halting trades for 4 AEUR pairs due to abnormal volatility. They're looking at compensating some of the buyers because the price change all of a sudden being an error. Thailand overtakes giants, emerges a crypto titan, Hashkey report. Hashkey Capital has laid out its annual report highlighting Thailand's extraordinary crypto sector growth achieved through high adoption rates, a surging digital assets trading volume, favorable regulations, and a thriving ecosystem of digital services. Thailand ranks 10th on the Chainalysis Crypto Adoption Index, suggesting significant crypto ownership and participation in decentralized exchanges, peer-to-peer trading, and DeFi protocols. The Thai Securities and Exchange Commission issues 7 licenses to monitor assets, ICOs, and digital asset firms. This strong framework clarifies coin, token, ICO, exchange, broker, dealer, fund manager, and advisor regulation. That's much clearer regulation than most countries, for sure. United States Congress Committee passes pro-blockchain bill. The United States Congress Committee on Energy and Commerce has recently made a noteworthy stride in the realm of blockchain technology by unanimously passing H.R. 6572, also known as the Deploying American Blockchains Act of 2023. This legislation, voted on with a resounding 46-0 in favor, was part of a broader session dedicated to clearing 44 pieces of legislation. The 13-page bill outlines a clear directive for the United States Commerce Secretary, Gina Raimondo. If enacted, it would require her to take necessary and appropriate actions aimed at promoting the competitiveness of the United States concerning the deployment, use, application, and overall competitiveness of blockchain technology and other distributed ledger technologies. Cody Carbone, the head of policy for the Chamber of Digital Commerce, was quick to commend the committee for their decision. Carbone emphasized that the passing of this bill is a significant step toward preserving and strengthening the United States' leadership position in the development of blockchain technology, a sector where global competition is intensifying. Before the bill secured its unanimous passage, Kristen Smith, CEO of the Blockchain Association, voiced support by stating that the legislation rightfully advances the nation's competitiveness in the nascent space of blockchain technology. So actual help there for that. That's amazing. By the way, thanks for joining. If you haven't yet, be sure to subscribe so you get notifications when we do other news shows or other shows where we have guests and or we go over the Republican debate, for example, or other events, or play crypto games, or just about anything. We do all kinds of stuff on this channel, and we're still trying to find out which things you guys like as well. So still experimenting a little bit. Binance Live is still kind of a new system. All right. So the UAE researchers debut blockchain carbon trading platform. So in a significant stride toward environmental sustainability, a government-affiliated research center based in Abu Dhabi, the United Arab Emirates, has recently introduced a groundbreaking blockchain-powered carbon tracking and trading platform. Unveiled at the United Nations Climate Change Conference, or COP28, on December 5th, this platform aims to facilitate the global exchange of carbon tokens, linking them to investments in eco-friendly initiatives like afforestation and carbon capture. I wonder if I could use that. If I have some land somewhere that's just idle, if I grow some trees on it, can I get some money for that? Is this where we're going? Like, if you have a park, you can actually make more money than if you run a business in the end. That'd be weird. An orchard would make sense. So then you're actually producing food and, you know, dealing with CO2. Don't know, just random ideas. Safe Wallet launches cryptocurrency recovery ecosystem, Safe Recovery Hub. Safe Wallet, formerly Gnosis Safe, introduces Safe Recovery Hub, revolutionizing cryptocurrency wallet security. The platform initiates a waiting list emphasizing user engagement and transparency, while anticipating the imminent launch of collaborative third-party solutions with Signum Bank and CoinCover. By establishing a waiting list, Safe Wallet actively involves users in shaping the future of digital asset management. This approach not only highlights the platform's commitment to community engagement, but also sets the stage for comprehensive solutions through upcoming collaborations, marking a transformative era in user control and security. Interesting. New Jersey bill to recognize crypto sold to institutional investors as securities. Well, that's a state taking things into their own hands. In a recent legislative development within the U.S. state of New Jersey, Representative Herbert Conway introduced Assembly Bill 5747 on November 30th. The primary objective of the New Jersey bill is to categorize all cryptocurrencies issued and directly sold to institutional investors as securities. This legislative move stands in contrast to the stance of the U.S. Securities and Exchange Commission, which has previously declared that Bitcoin is not considered a security. Interesting. So they're being stricter than the federal government, which I guess they can. FCA warns UK traders about the legal status of Poloniex. The Financial Conduct Authority, the regulatory authority overseeing financial activities in the UK, has recently issued a public warning regarding Poloniex, a cryptocurrency exchange owned by Justin Sun. The FCA stated that Poloniex is operating without the necessary authorization, leaving traders on the platform without the protection of financial laws. So they're not legally allowed to trade in the UK. Deloitte partners with Kilt Blockchain for digital shipping logistics solution. Deloitte collaborates with Kilt Blockchain for KYX, Know Your Client and Know Your Cargo. This innovative logistics system using Polkadot-based Kilt enhances transparency and security in client identity and cargo tracking. Hapag-Lloyd leads by implementing KYX, securing 1.5 million containers with tracking devices. Vodafone follows, showcasing KYX's versatility. This collaboration sets a new industry standard using blockchain to redefine global logistics and supply chain processes. That's actually a good thing. Like knowing which container belongs to who and what it is, just having it tokenized is actually going to be really helpful in the future for keeping track of where goods are. You might actually be able to see where your the thing you bought on the other side of the world is at any given time, thanks to that kind of system. Russia's XVED launches cross-border payments in Tether stablecoin. Russia's Xved platform launches cross-border crypto payments, allowing local businesses to use Tether stablecoin alongside traditional currencies. Backed by major partners and regulatory approval, Xved aims to revolutionize cross-border transactions, showcasing Russia's embrace of digital assets on the global stage. I think they're trying to get around sanctions is more what they're trying to do here. Yeah, the platform allows US dollars, rubles, and Tether, so USDT. The platform's announcement emphasized its commitment to compliance with anti-money laundering and counter-terrorist financing measures, ensuring secure and legal transactions. Xved's objective is to empower Russian legal entities to conduct cross-border payments without intermediaries, offering competitive rates in the market. Let's see, who are they backed by? Sergey Mendeleev, the co-founder and CEO of NDeFi Smart Bank, confirmed that Xved's internal mechanics underwent rigorous testing and received approval from the central bank and the Federal Financial Monitoring Service of the Russian Federation. Interesting. That's definitely a tool for cutting sanctions. Like, there's no other way of looking at that. Manipur leads India in adopting blockchain for academic credentialing. Manipur's Department of Education partners with Dfinity Foundation to deploy a blockchain-based system for verifying and storing educational certificates on the Internet Computers, ICP. The system known as Academic Credential Verification System, ACVS, will ensure tamper-proof verification and privacy-preserving authentication of academic credentials. Interesting. And Dfinity is a Swiss nonprofit and key contributor to ICP. Why the possibility of U.S. recession haunts economists? Analysts are divided on whether the U.S. will face a recession in 2024, with predictions ranging from economic contraction to continued growth. Opinions vary on the future of U.S. stocks and bonds, with some expecting significant changes in market trends and yields. The only consensus, the only consensus among experts is the uncertainty surrounding the U.S. economy's direction in the coming year. I think that's a really good kind of way to look at it. Do Kwon finally set to be extradited to the U.S. Oh, that's interesting. Do Kwon, former Terra Luna founder, is set to be extradited to the U.S. to face charges. That's interesting that he's not going to South Korea, but the U.S. What does China and Saudi becoming tight mean for the U.S.? China and Saudi Arabia's growing relationship, exemplified by recent events in Hong Kong, poses strategic challenges to U.S. influence in the Middle East. The partnership focuses on economic investments and technology transfers, diversifying Saudi Arabia's alliances beyond traditional U.S. ties. This geopolitical shift requires the U.S. to reassess its strategies in a region increasingly oriented towards Eastern partnerships. I know the U.S. doesn't trust Saudi Arabia as much as it did since they opened relations with Iran, for example. And Saudi Arabia is moving closer and closer to China. It's going to make things even more difficult for them to be able to play both sides. IMF is getting impatient with Europe, and what is the reason? The International Monetary Fund urges Europe to adapt swiftly to global economic fragmentation, emphasizing the need for deeper EU integration. So the IMF thinks Europe isn't integrated enough. That's weird. Gita Gopinath recommends Europe harmonize taxes, complete banking unions, and centralize fiscal policies for stronger economic resilience. Since when has centralization helped with economic resilience? The IMF highlights the necessity for Europe to balance spending with revenue generation, including exploring new taxation strategies. That's interesting. So like 2 EU member countries have the highest taxes on earth. That's France and Denmark. So what more do you want? FTX's revised restructuring plan due in a week. Let's see. The official committee of unsecured creditors is set to release FTX's amended reorganization plan, crucial for unsecured creditors' future. The plan aims to balance stakeholder interests amid potential acquisitions and new financial strategies, including recovery rights tokens. The situation reflects broader issues in the crypto industry, including increased U.S. lobbying and regulatory scrutiny following FTX's collapse. How Coinbase's new ad sets the bar high for crypto's revolution. Coinbase's latest ad shifts crypto marketing towards a philosophical narrative, emphasizing systemic financial reform. The campaign abandons celebrity endorsements, focusing on crypto as a solution to economic struggles and inequality. Coinbase's approach challenges the industry to present cryptocurrency as a transformative financial tool beyond mere investment. Good. It's like maturing the whole system a little bit. That's not a bad thing. What's behind today's Ethereum price surge? This was December 7th. This was 2 days ago. Ethereum's price surge is driven by increased institutional interest and anticipation of an ETF approval by the SEC. Growth in Ethereum's network fees and DeFi ecosystem contributes to its rising value and deflationary trend. Macroeconomic factors in Bitcoin's market dominance also influence ETH's price, dynamics, and future potential. Senator Elizabeth Warren highlights crypto's link to criminal activities in CNBC interview. I saw some people comment on this. U.S. Senator Elizabeth Warren expressed strong concerns about cryptocurrencies being used for illegal activities, including terrorism and drug trafficking. Warren, aligning with financial leaders like JP Morgan's CEO, advocates for stringent regulation and has introduced bills to increase crypto oversight and bank secrecy laws. Interesting. There is a lot more fraud in traditional currency than in cryptocurrency. Solana's Camino Finance introduces points program eyeing future token airdrop. Camino Finance, a leading DeFi protocol on the Solana network, has announced a new points program hinting at a potential future token airdrop. The program is part of a broader trend in Solana's DeFi sector, where protocols are using points to reward user engagement and loyalty, influencing strategies in trading, staking, and yield farming. Camino Finance is known for its yield-maximizing vault products and is developing a borrow and lend facility, contributing significantly to Solana's DeFi ecosystem. Crypto investors fear a bull trap as Bitcoin price continues to drop. What's the problem? Yesterday, the Bitcoin bull rally. So this was, let me see, this was the 7th as well. No, this was yesterday. Yesterday, actually, it's funny. So 2 days ago, the Bitcoin bull rally came to a halt, currently trading between $43,200 and $43,600 after its breakout from $38,000 a week ago. While Bitcoin's bull run has come to a halt, ETH and Sol have continued to rise. Sol is currently worth $71.96, and Ethereum is worth, or Ether is worth $2,382.07. Thursday, Santiment wrote on X, formerly Twitter, citing social media metrics, traders are fearful that crypto markets may be in a bull trap at the moment. I see. Too much fear of missing out. It's kind of what they're thinking there. I've seen that on, some people say that on Twitter, X. El Salvador leverages Tether's Tech for the Freedom Visa program. Who is eligible? On December 7th, 2023, El Salvador and Tether launched the Adopting El Salvador Freedom Visa program, encouraging people to shape El Salvador's new socioeconomic landscape. Eligibility for the program prioritizes visionary individuals, particularly high net worth investors, who aspire to make a major contribution to societal advancement. Paulo Arduino, CEO of Tether, takes pride in the partnership, stating, "This partnership reinforces our dedication to advancing technology, empowering nations, and enabling individuals to invest in a future where innovation and progress go hand in hand. Applicants must pass KYC and deposit $999 USD at BTC or USDT. If accepted, the deposit will count towards the $1 million Bitcoin or USDT investment needed for the freedom visa and citizenship. You have to invest $1 million. If you invest 100,000 euros in Montenegro, you can get citizenship. So that's kind of funny. Ethereum whale banks $78 million profit from $11 million investment. That's impressive, actually. After 5 years, Look On Chain predicts an Ethereum whale could liquidate its holdings accumulated from June to August 2017. Look On Chain reports that the whale wallet sent 39,260 ETH worth $87.5 million to Kraken. The whale had an initial $11.34 million investment. The whale stands to make $78 million selling its stocks. Crypto investors are grappling with the idea of a Bitcoin bull trap. While that is happening, Ethereum continues to surge, presently trading at $2,370 ahead of the Dencun fork of the Gurley testnet in January 2024. Sell the news or bull rallying cry. Fidelity director weighs in on SEC's Bitcoin ETF approval. Jurian Timmer, director of global macro at Fidelity's Global Asset Allocation Division, remarked on a possible SEC update on Bitcoin on December 8th, saying it's unclear if this would be a catalyst for a price surge or not. Timmer called Bitcoin a form of digital gold with a venture twist. He adds that, I think of it as an exponential gold. Timmer says, in my view, attention on the SEC's deliberations around pending product applications could theoretically attract a new wave of investors or advisors who previously didn't have Bitcoin on their menu. Sounds rather bullish. Solana phone owners strike gold with bonk airdrop. Prices galore. Solana has risen 430% this year from $10 in January to almost $71 at press time. Sol in the ecosystem thrived in 2023, but Solana's mobile gadget Saga did not. Sol's price is on the rise, but not its Saga phone. Anatoly Yakovenko admits it's to not using the phone for day-to-day life and relies on an iPhone. Yakovenko speculated that Solana's subsequent product could be a smart wallet with a reduced price if sales do not increase substantially. So the Saga phone's not doing too well, is what I'm hearing. Even the founder of the company that made it doesn't really use it for day-to-day activity. That's crazy. Binance to resume AEUR spot trading on December 8th. XRP holders gain advanced security with Uphold Vault launch. Uphold has launched a new self-custody solution called Uphold Vault, initially available exclusively to XRP holders. The Uphold Vault is a state-of-the-art service designed to enhance the security of digital assets and address the risk of losing private keys. The Vault allows users to execute transactions autonomously, particularly when Uphold system is inaccessible. Interesting. Glacier Network chosen for prestigious UC Berkeley's 2024 Blockchain Accelerator. Glacier Network, a decentralized data composability protocol, secures a spot among the top 10 projects selected for the prestigious University of California Berkeley's 2024 Blockchain Accelerator. The collaboration involves joint incubation with influential partners, including Berkeley RDI, Blockchain at Berkeley, Berkeley Engineering, and Berkeley HAAS, or HAAS, amplifying Glacier Network's potential for growth and innovation. With a focus on creating a modular layer 2 data-driven network, Glacier Network aims to revolutionize decentralized applications, or dApps, and promote trustless data primitives, showcasing its commitments to shaping the future of the decentralized technology landscape. Interesting. By the way, guys, I just want to point out, this is the most views any of our live streams has had. We're over 6,100 views, and our previous record at on this channel was 5,000 about a week ago. And we also only have 4,500 subscribers. So I'm going to ask you guys who haven't subscribed yet to please do, so you get notifications when we go live. And thank you all for participating and watching the debate and now the news today. Thank you very much. So I appreciate you guys taking the time to check it out with me. Apple aims to revolutionize Mac gaming with new chips and developer tools. They're going to make their own chips. Apple plans to improve Mac gaming using powerful chips and tools to compete in the gaming industry. Macs with Apple Silicon offer strong gaming performance, with major studios showing interest. Apple faces challenges in getting blockbuster games on Mac while exploring monetization options in the gaming world. There are several reasons for this. They're not compatible with most of the tools that game creators use. They need to work on that. It doesn't matter if their chips are better or not. If it's a pain to put anything on iOS, and it is, and it's costly, and the market for Mac players is almost non-existent compared to other options. Even Linux is a more bigger gaming market than Mac, and it's cheap. It's basically free to sell your game on Linux or Windows, whereas Mac you have to pay a fee in order to do it. It's a pain, and it's understandable that game creators don't want to work with Mac, so they need to revise that first. SWE Network disavows alleged ties to SWE Mermaid project amid branding controversy. SWE Network has firmly disavowed any connection with the SWE Mermaid project, denouncing the latter's false claims of association with the SWE Foundation. The swift response underscores SWE Network's commitment to maintaining integrity and transparency in the tech industry. As the dispute unfolds, the tech community awaits the resolution, with potential legal consequences looming over the SWE Mermaid project if it continues to use SWE brand assets without authorization, highlighting the broader industry's need for safeguarding brand integrity and fostering trust. Yeah, you can't just use somebody else's brand name and do what you want with it. Kazakhstan blocks 980 crypto exchanges for non-compliance. Kazakhstan's financial monitoring agency blocked access to nearly 1,000 crypto exchanges for operating without proper registration. The action aligns with digital assets law effective February 2023, which mandates national licensing for cryptocurrency operations. The Astana International Financial Center is responsible for granting licenses and ensuring regulatory compliance within the sector. That makes sense. Futureverse and Reebok unite to pioneer the future of digital fashion. Futureverse and Reebok have announced an exclusive collaboration aiming to revolutionize digital fashion through cutting-edge AI, Web3 blockchain-based gaming, and metaverse technologies. The partnership signifies a dedication to shaping the future of immersive and meaningful digital interactions, inspiring industry-wide transformation and inviting consumers into a dynamic narrative where digital footprints hold equal significance to physical ones. Interesting. Sam Altman-backed startup seeks investors for new BTC fund. Meanwhile Group introduces the Meanwhile BTC Private Credit Fund LP, aiming to raise $100 million. The fund offers a unique 5% yield in Bitcoin, enhancing investors' holdings without extra principal. Backed by notable investors Sam Altman and Gradient Ventures, the startup raised $20 million in seed funding. Interesting. And now they're seeking to raise $100 million. And they give a 5% yield on Bitcoin. Not sure how that's going to work long term. That's interesting, though. Blockchain security firm PeckShield uncovers critical vulnerabilities in smart contracts. Which ones? OpenSea and OpenZeppelin show blockchain's dedication to security. Third Web's mitigation steps safeguard users from contract vulnerability. Clear communication is crucial to address Web3 community concerns. Okay. So the significant vulnerability affecting popular smart contracts, prompting swift responses and proactive measures within the Web3 ecosystem. The vulnerability linked to third-party tools has drawn immediate attention from major players in the blockchain space, underscoring the importance of heightened security protocols and swift action. OpenSea, a leading NFT marketplace, has moved swiftly to assure its users of their platform's safety. Will Brook confirmed that. Let's see. So as soon as they came out with the issue, They haven't disclosed the exact root cause yet, because they want different groups to implement countermeasures first so that nobody can use it against them. That makes sense. I like that approach. Smart. Ecosystem thrives after Layer Zero's airdrop confirmation. Layer Zero's native token boosts ecosystem projects. Clear communication drives crypto community excitement. Airdrops continue to captivate crypto enthusiasts. In a recent announcement, Layer Zero, the innovative interoperability protocol, has officially confirmed its intention to issue a native token within the first half of 2024. This long-awaited confirmation has sparked excitement and increased interest in projects built on the Layer Zero network. The Layer Zero ecosystem has been a topic of discussion within the crypto community, and this development brings clarity to the network's future. So they know it's going to happen now, and they're getting more interest. It makes sense. Fidelity Investments breaks new ground with spot Bitcoin ETF listing on DTCC. Fidelity Investments has listed its spot Bitcoin ETF, ticker FBTC, on the DTCC, marking a significant step in cryptocurrency market integration. The SEC's cautious yet evolving stance on cryptocurrency ETFs indicates a potential shift towards regulatory acceptance, with Fidelity's listing and the ARK21 shares Bitcoin ETF ARKB in focus. So that's another one that's ready to go. Bitcoin faces pressure as altcoins gain momentum in crypto surge. Yeah, especially Ethereum and Solana. FUD may drive Bitcoin to $50,000. What? That's an interesting statement. Binance founder CZ to remain in the US till February, and until his court case. He has to stay there. I think it's a court ruling. Yeah, he has been directed to remain in the United States until his sentencing in February, as a federal judge deems him a flight risk if allowed to return to the United Arab Emirates. Yeah, that's what I figured. That was in discussion for quite some time. Investment firm YieldMax seeks SEC approval for MicroStrategy-backed yield ETF. MSTY ETF offers income without owning MicroStrategy shares. YieldMax innovates with MicroStrategy using a synthetic call strategy. MSTY ETF provides conservative investors with monthly yields amidst volatility. It's an interesting way of doing it. The proposed option income strategy ETF is designed to offer investors monthly yields derived from MicroStrategy shares and is scheduled for release in 2024, pending SEC approval. This innovative ETF, trading under the ticker MSTY, will utilize a synthetic covered call strategy, a combination of buying call options and selling put options, to generate revenue, which will be distributed to MSTY ETF holders as monthly payouts. Animoca Brands fronts $3 million funding round for gaming startup Gacha Monsters. Animoca Brands takes the helm in a $3 million funding round for Japanese gaming startup Gacha Monsters, spearheaded by Jia Shen, a game developer with a notable track record. The investment aims to fuel the creation and distribution of intellectual properties across diverse formats. Gacha Monsters unveils Poglin, a captivating digital world featuring creatures with unique abilities, set to launch the alpha version of the Poglin game in the first quarter of 2024. Interesting. Ton blockchain halts as ordinals inspired protocols pick pace. What? Yeah, Ton blockchain is facing visible challenges amid the uptick in ordinals inspired protocols, validator nodes, struggles, and solutions. The open network blockchain faced significant challenges in transaction processing as a new protocol inspired by Bitcoin ordinals led to a surge in activity. Issues began on Tuesday, and by Thursday afternoon, over 2.5 million transactions were pending, causing the blockchain's speed to plummet to less than 1 transaction per second. Wow. This congestion prompted the the blockchain's cryptocurrency wallets, including Wallet and Tonkeeper, to temporarily suspend their services. According to a post in the community Telegram channel, producing over 2 million transactions increased network usage by 61 times within half an hour. The bottleneck followed the launch of Tonano, a service for creating blockchain inscriptions inspired by Bitcoin ordinals, utilizing the TON20 token standard on the blockchain. Although Tonano launched on Monday, it had to halt minting by Thursday due to the overwhelming demand. And the validators slowed down the network because of the sudden 50 to 100 times increase in load within 30 minutes. Wow. So tokenization is definitely something that's that we need to have some solutions for. Starknet Foundation allocates 1.8 billion STRK tokens to boost Ethereum scaling. Let's take a look. It's giving out 1.8 billion STRK tokens to boost Ethereum scalability using ZK rollup technology, reducing fees and congestion. They've set aside 50 million STRK tokens for an early community member program and 900 million for rewarding contributors and user rebates. This move aims to incentivize user engagement and support Starkware's innovative solutions for Ethereum's challenges. Interesting. Jito airdrop rewards Solana users with $225 million. Yep. So we talked about that happening, and then it happened already. So it's always nice to see the result of a promise actually coming through. TokenSoft and Chainwire join forces to enhance digital asset outreach. TokenSoft partners with Chainwire for wider crypto community reach. Chainwire's PR platform ensures exposure and campaign insights. The collaboration bolsters TokenSoft's global token distribution efforts. Interesting. Aims to bolster TokenSoft's outreach efforts to cryptocurrency communities worldwide by harnessing Chainwire's extensive PR platform capabilities. Let's see. The company has been a crucial partner for renowned crypto ecosystems like Avalanche, The Graph, Connex Network, and Arbitrum. With a global presence and the ability to engage with blockchain users across major territories, TokenSoft specializes in targeting specific blockchain communities effectively. Through this collaboration with Chainwire, TokenSoft seeks to amplify the impact of its messaging, ensuring the successful execution of client campaigns. That's interesting that they're working together. Van Eck forecasts a massive $2.4 billion inflow into Bitcoin ETFs. Van Eck predicts $2.4 billion flowing into Bitcoin ETFs by early 2024, thanks to the launch of spot Bitcoin ETFs. Bitcoin's resilience and demand for stable assets make it an attractive investment, with analysts foreseeing an all-time high in late 2024. In 2024, blockchain gaming could hit a major milestone. Solana may become a top 3 blockchain, and KYC-enabled DeFi applications are on the horizon. Interesting. Avalanche market cap surges to propel top 10 entry. Avalanche has experienced a massive rise to slot into the top 10 tokens in terms of market cap. Let's see. That's amazing, actually. Has flipped several established cryptocurrencies, including Bitcoin Cash, Polygon, Polkadot, Tron, and Chainlink. That is in market cap. We'll see that when we go to CoinMarketCap afterwards. Cryptocurrency scam raises concerns amidst market growth. Which one is it? A crypto scam involving Ethereum and Magic. The Gathering cards sparks. Magic the Gathering? Okay. Sparks security worries. Suspected ties to a $50 million uranium finance hack raise eyebrows. Ethereum's price holds steady, but more regulation looms with crypto's growing popularity. Okay, so ZachXBT found that a certain someone withdrew 11,200 plus ETHs, $25 million from Tornado Cash, and spent the majority of it on Magic the Gathering trading cards. They're using Magic the Gathering trading cards to launder money, basically, is what it looks like. That's fascinating. Like, hack people, buy trading cards, sell trading cards, whitewash your stolen funds. That is so weird. VanEck adopts HODL ticker symbol for Bitcoin ETF in latest filing with SEC. That is hilarious. VanEck, a notable investment manager, has updated its spot Bitcoin ETF filing with the SEC, choosing the popular crypto term HODL or HODL as its ticker symbol. The HODL ticker symbol reflects VanEck's strategy to appeal to both crypto enthusiasts and retail investors, differing from traditional choices by other major firms. With a January deadline for SEC approval, VanEck is optimistic about its Bitcoin ETF prospects, projecting significant market impact and aligning with broader industry predictions for Bitcoin's future value. Let's see. SEC faces critical deadline in controversial debt box investigation. Are they going to have to drop it? The SEC has been given an extra week until December 21st to respond to the concerns raised by a federal judge about potentially misleading statements in its case against crypto startup DebtBox. Judge Shelby questioned the SEC's claims that DebtBox was moving assets overseas, prompting a review and response preparation for a new team of SEC lawyers. Interesting. Binance sets the record straight on Abu Dhabi licensing. Binance's Abu Dhabi unit withdraws its application for managing a collective investment fund independent of its U.S. legal issues. The exchange maintains crypto custody services in Abu Dhabi, but reshuffles leadership following a $4.3 billion U.S. settlement. The company also continues its global expansion, focusing on regulatory compliance and strategic growth. So it's not linked to what happened in the U.S., according to Binance. WorldCoin gains momentum with robust investor interest. TFH seeks $50 million funding via $1 WLD token sale. FT Partners aids amid high demand since token launch. WorldCoin's Altman regains control amid leadership challenge. Tools for Humanity, TFH, a development group associated with Sam Altman's WorldCoin crypto project, is reportedly exploring options for capital increase through the sale of WLD tokens. In recent weeks, TFH has engaged in discussions with various investors, aiming to secure up to $50 million in funding. Sources familiar with the matter have revealed that TFH is contemplating an over-the-counter sale of WLD tokens, potentially offering them at a token price of $1. This represents a significant markdown from the current spot price of $2.51 per token. The move to lower the price could be an attractive proposition for potential investors. Interesting. VanEck renames Bitcoin ETF to HODL in fifth attempt for SEC approval. We talked about that already. Cryptocurrency market sees remarkable rebounds. We'll see that when we look at CoinMarketCap. SHIB transaction worth $42 million sparks speculation. It's a lot of money. A massive $42 million SHIB transaction excites the crypto community. SHIB's price surges, burning a zero amid a significant token burn. Big players show renewed interest in SHIB. Lead developer gains recognition. In a recent development that has sent ripples throughout the cryptocurrency community, a colossal transaction involving trillions of Shiba Inu tokens has come to light. Whale Alert, a prominent cryptocurrency tracking bot known for monitoring transactions initiated by whales and crypto exchanges, revealed details of this massive meme coin transfer. While the SHIB price surged and burned to zero, the crypto world is abuzz with speculation about the significance of this transaction. That's trillions of SHIB on the move. That's insane. All right, what else is going on here? The SEC releases investor alert on cryptocurrency securities. The SEC warns of high risks and a lack of regulatory compliance in crypto asset securities they highlight the absence of traditional investor protections in unregistered crypto offerings. The SEC's alert underscores the contrast between regulated financial entities and the largely unregulated crypto sector. That's interesting. So they're looking for more regulatory clarity. That makes sense. Is Egypt on the verge of a massive financial crisis? Potentially. Egypt faces economic turmoil with a tumbling pound, foreign currency shortages, and soaring inflation as presidential elections approach. Historical industrial development issues, heavy foreign debt, and currency devaluation contribute to the country's financial crisis. Government spending on infrastructure and military contrasts with increasing poverty and economic challenges, with IMF negotiations ongoing for financial aid. I mean, they have to keep a strong military with where they are, like with Libya on one side and all the problems going on there. Gaza on the other side, with Hamas having done terrible things to Egyptians in the past with their alliance to the Muslim Brotherhood that was fighting the Egyptian government in Egypt. It's a complicated history they have to deal with, so that hurts their economy. When you don't have terrorism in your country, your economy does better. U.S. senators propose legislation to counter crypto terrorism funding. A bipartisan group of U.S. senators has proposed the Terrorism Financing Prevention Act to counter the growing threat of cryptocurrency misuse in funding terrorist activities. The proposed legislation includes measures to extend U.S. sanctions to entities involved in funding terrorism using both traditional fiat currency and cryptocurrencies. The bill grants the U.S. Treasury the authority to block transactions with foreign digital asset facilitators identified as sanctioned entities. Interesting. That's actually kind of big news. Taiwan Central Bank completes feasibility study on wholesale CBDC. Does that mean we know when is it going to come out? What's going to happen here? Taiwan Central Bank has completed a feasibility study on wholesale central bank digital currency, contemplating its implementation. Deputy Governor Mei Lie-Chu highlights the importance of a prudent approach and seeks input from businesses and academics as the nation explores broader payment modernization initiatives. Insights and integration. Drawing from Bank for International Settlements research, Chu emphasizes the advantages of CBDCs and tokenization of real-world assets. The significance of unified ledger technology in achieving interoperability is highlighted, showcasing Taiwan's commitment to staying at the forefront of digital currency innovation. So they're not sure they're going to do it yet, is what I'm hearing from that. UK's FCA faces heat over crypto regulations. FCA criticized for slow crypto enforcement, risking market integrity. Staff shortage and crypto expertise hampers regulatory effectiveness. Global crypto market boom highlights the need for robust regulation now rather than later. Sure. Bitcoin achieves record total value locked and surges in NFT volumes. Not surprising. El Salvador's crypto adoption falls short of expectations. Just 1.72% own Bitcoin despite government support. Ranking 55th globally, El Salvador's crypto adoption lags. $1 million investment plan seeks to boost crypto participation. They would have to use something other than Bitcoin probably for everybody to start using it. Paxos shows November transparency report for PYUSD. Let's take a look at this. Paxos's November transparency report reveals key token-related metrics for PYUSD. The market value of collateral in U.S. Treasury repurchase agreements is reported at $160,590,905, with a nominal position value of $157,442,000. The report also breaks down cash deposits and provides a comprehensive view of total net assets. The transparency report reflects Paxos's commitment to openness in the stablecoin space by offering a detailed breakdown of collateral values and risk management protocols. Paxos enhances stakeholder understanding and fosters trust within the cryptocurrency community. Ongoing transparency efforts contribute to positioning Paxos as a responsible and reliable player in the evolving digital finance landscape. Wow, guys, we're really looking at breaking a few of our channel's top statistics. Before today, our biggest amount of viewers on one show was 5,000. We're at 6,800 right now. We get to 7,000. We've blasted that record back by 2,000 extra views. That'd be amazing. And that means a lot of you aren't subscribed. So definitely subscribe, get notifications when we go live for different things. We do a whole host of different things on this show, not just news, but also we have guests show up, and sometimes we even do some gaming and things like that. US, South Korea, and Japan unite against North Korea crypto thefts. Nice. Trilateral cooperation crucial in countering North Korea's crypto schemes. Sanctions and law enforcement target North Korea's financial networks. Ongoing concern North Korea's crypto financing for weapons program. So yeah, it makes sense for those three to work together on that, especially since they're the most targeted, right? So North Korean hackers steal money from people in the US and South Korea and Europe and around the world, send it to Russian crypto exchanges, get it out there back to their country and do what they want with it. And they all work for the North Korean government, so it goes into their nuclear weapon system, apparently. Palau's successful pilot, Ripple-supported stablecoin gains traction. Interesting. Palau's stablecoin pilot, supported by Ripple and conducted on the XRP Ledger CBDC platform, achieved success with 168 government employee volunteers making $100 worth of retail purchases. The initiative demonstrated seamless transactions using QR codes or manual wallet input. The Palau stablecoin, PSC, was fully collateralized with $20,000 held in a Tier 1 FDIC US bank. Retailers exclusively redeemed the PSC for US dollars, showcasing the stability and reliability of the digital currency in the innovative pilot program. I can see that as being a really practical thing. They don't have to ship dollars out into the middle of the ocean. They can use a digital currency with all of those dollars in a bank account in the US. It's fascinating to me that they can do something like that. Elon Musk's X and Amazon discuss potential collaboration. I mean, for what he wants to do, like an everything app, he will need a lot of server support. Elon Musk's social media platform X is in early discussions with Amazon to integrate into the latter's ad buying software. Interesting. The collaboration aims to help small businesses advertise their products on X, leveraging Amazon's vast user base. X, under CEO Linda Yaccarino, is diversifying its advertiser base following the departure of major brands due to controversies. Also, Musk telling them to F themselves if they want to use their money to force him to do things their way. David Schwartz's investment tale sparks speculation in XRP circle. Ripple CTO David Schwartz shared a personal investment story about selling 40,000 Ethereum tokens for $1 each. Schwartz's revelation led to various interpretations regarding investment strategies within the XRP community. Some members of the XRP community believe Schwartz's story is a subtle message not to sell XRP too early. I feel like it's a not so subtle message for that. Animoca brand secures additional funding for its Mochaverse project. $11 million for its Mochaverse project, to be exact. So in total, it's $31.88 million. The Hong Kong-based company aims to develop a digital identity and loyalty platform for blockchain games and applications. So that's what's going on there. Former Binance CEO to face deposition in a civil lawsuit. Former Binance CEO Changpeng Zhao is set to face deposition in a civil lawsuit. In a recent legal development, attorney Adam Moskowitz, known for his involvement in civil cases related to cryptocurrency firms, has taken a significant step in the ongoing legal saga involving former Binance CEO CZ. A motion filed on December 8th in the United States District Court of the Southern District of Florida, Miami Division, seeks a deposition from Changpeng Zhao. It's a $1 billion lawsuit. The motion highlights the crucial role his testimony would play in the $1 billion lawsuit against Zhao, Binance, and certain crypto influencers. The lawsuit had been ordered to stay in August by a court. Moskowitz, along with his firm, has been actively representing clients in cases against notable crypto entities. Notably, he played a key role in a lawsuit related to the collapse of FTX, representing victims and targeting celebrities who had endorsed the crypto exchange. Additionally, he was involved in a suit alleging losses by investors due to soccer star Cristiano Ronaldo promoting Binance's non-fungible tokens. The decision to file the deposition motion was influenced by a Washington judge's instruction for Zhao to remain in the U.S. until his sentencing scheduled for February 2024. In a significant turn of events in November, U.S. authorities announced a $4.3 billion settlement with Binance, resulting in CZ stepping down as CEO and pleading guilty to a felony charge. Moskowitz sheds light on the uncertainties surrounding Zhao's potential prison sentence, emphasizing the unknown duration. If Zhao receives no jail time, there is a possibility of him returning to the United Arab Emirates. On the contrary, if imprisonment is imposed, arranging a deposition from prison becomes a complex and challenging process. The attorney highlights that Zhao's guilty plea to federal charges, specifically addressing the lack of safeguards during his tenure as Binance CEO, could provide support to some of the claims made by plaintiffs in the ongoing civil suit. And the civil suit is a separate thing. So, yeah, that's not done. Wow. So, yeah, there's a lot going on there. Blast hits $823 million TVL amid bugs and controversies. Blast, a Web3 protocol, has rapidly amassed a total value locked, or TVL, of $823 million within a few weeks since its controversial mid-November launch. DeFi Llama's data indicates a notable 26.5% gain over the past 7 days, highlighting the protocol's significant growth. It distinguishes itself through a unique business model functioning as a scaling solution for the Ethereum network and offering native yields to users who stake their funds. And we've hit the 7,000 viewers on a single live stream just now. It's a new record for our channel. Thank you guys very much. Like and subscribe. Thanks for being here. SEC undeterred in Binance lawsuit despite recent settlement. We talked about that. XRPL integrates. Oh, we didn't talk about that. Sorry. We talked about Blast. Crypto Provisions Act from 2023 U.S. Defense Bill. The NDAA has removed 2 crypto bills from the 2023 U.S. Defense Bill. Interesting. They need to prioritize defense, like actual military defense. Elon Musk's Bitcoin mantra error sparks social media buzz. Elon Musk inaccurately quoted a well-known cryptocurrency saying during an online conversation with Jack Dorsey. Musk's misquote, "not your keys, not your wallet," deviated from the original mantra, "not your keys, not your coins." I wonder if he did it on purpose. The incident highlighted Musk's potential gap in understanding the core principles of the cryptocurrency community. Maybe, maybe not. SEC undeterred in Binance lawsuit despite recent settlement. The U.S. SEC is determined to continue its lawsuit against Binance Holdings Limited, despite Binance's recent $4.3 billion settlement. The SEC's lawsuit, filed in June, accuses Binance and its former CEO Changpeng Zhao of various regulatory violations. CZ, after pleading guilty, is required to remain in the United States until sentencing, facing a potential sentence of up to 18 months. And then the SEC thing is separate as well. So a bunch of legal challenges to CZ all at once. XRPL integrates Band protocol for enhanced data feeds. Band protocol, a leading data oracle platform, announces plans to integrate with the XRP Ledger network. The strategic move designates Band protocol as the primary oracle provider for XRPL's mainnet and EVM sidechain. This collaboration is a transformative step in XRPL's evolution, enhancing data reliability and infrastructure. That's interesting. Hi, Binance user D09DE. Nice to have you with us. It's nice to have you all with us, actually. It's just hard to keep up with everything. Hi, Sothio. There's so many comments. And now let's go check out CoinMarketCap to wrap today up. So let's see what's going on. I see the fear and greed index is at 82 for extreme greed. The global crypto market cap is $1.64 trillion. So it's the same as what I saw last time. A 0.82% increase over the last day. The total crypto market volume over the last 24 hours is $63.92 billion, which makes a 7.21% decrease. The total volume in DeFi is currently $8.96 billion, 14.03% of the total crypto market 24-hour volume. The volume of all stablecoins is now $55.78 billion, which is 87.27% of the total crypto market 24-hour volume. Bitcoin's dominance is currently 52.53%, a decrease of 0.14% over the day. All right. Bitcoin or BTC is at $988.56. It's up 0.61% in the last 24 hours, up 13.44% in the last 7 days. So, and Ethereum is at $2,349.17, up 0.09% in the last 24 hours, and up 11.75% in the last 7 days. Let's take a look at the biggest winners and losers for today. Helium HNT is down 9.70% in the last 24 hours to $4.46, but it's up 55.38% in the last 7 days. Terra Classic Loon C is down 9.36% in the last 24 hours, but up 22.33% in the last 7 days. Luna is down 5.96% in the last 24 hours, but up 20.18% in the last 7 days to 97 cents 56. Then we have BTT or BitTorrent New, which is down 5.91% in the last 24 hours, up 101.42% in the last 7 days. We have Bonk, which is up 168.41% in the last 7 days, but down 5.24% in the last 24 hours. And then everything else is under 5% down, but almost everything is in the green in the last 24 hours. Which is crazy. So let's take a look at what's doing really well today. FLR from Flare is up 46.25% in the last 24 hours, up 12.58% in the last hour, up 48.80% in the last 7 days to 2 cents 142. IMX from Immutable is up 19.15% in the last 24 hours, up 34.25% in the last 7 days to $1.88. AVAX from Avalanche is up 12.99% in the last 24 hours, up 44.8% in the last 7 days to $31.82. Gosh, I wish I'd bought some before. It's been a remarkable journey with Avalanche growing that fast. Beam is up 12.65% in the last 24 hours to 1 cent 712, up 50.45% in the last 7 days. Phantom FTM is up 11.13% in the last 24 hours to 40 cents 44. CRO from Kronos is up 11.16% in the last 24 hours to 10 cents 79. Algo from Algorand is up 10.01% in the last 24 hours to 19 cents 92. That is those above 10% up. Let's go back to major cryptocurrencies real quick. Hi, Mubarak Rufai from Nigeria. Nice to have you with us. It's rare for people to actually put their name and say where they're from. I'm doing okay. How are you? Hi, assalamu alaikum to everyone, says Exotic007. Peace on you as well, and your loved ones. BNB is at $238.75. It's up 1.68% in the last 24 hours, up 4.99% in the last 7 days. XRP is at 66 cents 77, which is up 0.22% in the last 24 hours, up 8.89% in the last 7 days. Sol from Solana is up 0.6% in the last 24 hours, up 19.44% in the last 7 days to $73.65. ADA from Cardano is up 9% in the last 24 hours, up 51.10% in the last 7 days to 58 cents 54. Dogecoin is at 9 cents 979. Getting really close to the 10-cent mark. It's up 2.02% in the last 24 hours, up 18.7% in the last 7 days. Okay, it's at 9 cents 98. Oh, come on. That'd be awesome if it went up to 10 cents. It would be easier to count. I've been waiting for a lot of these currencies to drop some of the zeros in there. Okay. It's annoying to be like 0.0000000 dollars for different ones. I usually don't read that much. TRX from Tron is up 0.93% in the last 24 hours, up 4.48% in the last 7 days to 10 cents 72. Dot from Polkadot is up 6.38% in the last 24 hours, up 29.27% in the last 7 days to $7.08. Link from Chainlink is at $16.44, down 1.02% in the last 24 hours, up 4.44% in the last 7 days. Matic from Polygon is at 89 cents for 37, up 1.15% in the last 24 hours, up 11.78% in the last 7 days. Ton from Toncoin is at $2.32, up 0.44% in the last 24 hours, down 4.31% in the last 7 days. It's one of the few ones here where I see red in the last 7 days. SHIB is up 1.36% in the last 24 hours, up 21.14% in the last 7 days to $0.0000102. So that's 4 zeros after the decimal. Interesting. It was 5 during the last week. So that's actually kind of impressive. LTC from Litecoin is down 0.28% in the last 24 hours, up 7.04% in the last 7 days to $76.68. Bitcoin Cash is at $253.56, up 1.19% in the last 24 hours, up 12.36% in the last 7 days. And then we have Cosmos. Cosmos is Atom, which is at $10.57, up 0.41% in the last 24 hours, up 11.43% in the last 7 days. And just a remark, Unisyd Low is now 23rd in market cap, with Uniswap being 21st and Stellar 22nd. So that's kind of how things are shifting quite a lot. Avalanche being the 10th biggest in market cap was not something I expected to see right away. I thought that would take more time. But it's interesting to see where we are in all of this. Thank you guys for watching. Hi, Binance user 5184B4. Nice to have you with us. I'm just going to check to see if we have any comments from elsewhere. No. Okay. Have a great rest of your weekend. See you guys Monday. I'll set up the show for then. Monday should just be news. I'm expecting to just do news. And that might be an hour long, maybe less. We'll see. But thank you for joining in. Definitely subscribe if you get a chance to do that before the end of the show. Or if you're watching a replay, subscribe so you get notifications to watch our lives. Have a great, great weekend. Thank you all for being here. And thank you for smashing our previous record of 5,000 viewers by 2,200 viewers. Thanks a lot. Have a great, great one. See you. Goodbye.